Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host, Mark. Joining me today, we got a nice Emperor's Children's Dreadnought Yellen face thing here. Welcome, Logan.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad I'm here and glad we're talking about the coolest Trader Legion there is.
Yeah, we're talking about Emperor's Children. Joining us as well is going to be Court once again. Hey, welcome.
Hey, Mark. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on. And I think for once, I tend to agree with Logan on this. I know. But I do agree.
no.
I think they're specifically rad as far as Trader Legions goes. So this one's going to be spicy.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. This might be the only episode I'm not glad I'm in the same room with people. So there will be no touching of each other's nips and stuff. There'll be no under the hands. Yeah, hand check.
Hand check, gentlemen. Hand check.
Okay. Yep. There we go.
We're going to be like this
good.
the entire episode. Just you got to keep your hands in frame.
Yeah, we're talking about Fulgrim and his fall to chaos and the chaos god of excess specifically. It's going to be a wild episode. Before we get to it, let's do some housekeeping. I got a very nice message today on Discord. Somebody said I knew Mark as the GW Warhammer hero. And I thought, hey, that was pretty cool because he did the little screenshot of the email and press send or whatever. So it's pretty cool. But that made me think, am I your Warhammer hero? That's pretty weird, but maybe nominate me. Let's see if we can get me one of those things.
That'd be cool.
I like it. Hero, villain,
Yeah.
Titles are good. Either way.
I think it comes with a little plaque or something, so that'd be pretty cool to hang in my studio. I'd love that.
Ooh,
awesome.
If you can't donate $1 for a Patreon, just go nominate me for Lorehammer Hero.
Yeah, I like it.
At GW, I'll put link in below.
Speaking of Patreon, those of you guys who are part of the Imperial Tithe, big thank you to you guys. If you're not, please jump on Patreon and support the show, support Lorehammer by joining the Imperial Tithe. And the ad-free version of the podcast is only $2.50 a month. And if you'd like the video version and you'd like to see our beautiful mugs here, then it's only $5 a month. So either way, you're supporting the show.
Minis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you get to watch all that stuff, not just our
all
face,
the good
so that's
stuff.
nice.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
there we go.
And if you join the Imperial Tithe, you can join us live on the air. We have a live chat while we're recording, and you have the chance to call in and be a part of the episode. So check out the Patreon, join the $5 a month tier, and come hang out with us. It'll be a good time.
Yeah. All right, let's get to tonight's episode, Fulgrim. We're doing another Primarch episode, so this is going to be the first episode in kind of the 4 that we're doing. Where it's going to be Fulgrim, Origins, and the Great Crusade. Then the next episode, we're going to do Fulgrim, the Horus Heresy, and the Scouring. And then the next episode after that, we'll jump to the chapter and the Legion. So 30K Legion stuff, and then some chapter stuff, like what we did with Dark Angels. So we're on a nice little 4-episode journey down the rabbit hole here of Fulgrim. And we'll be going in and out of many holes, I'm sure, on this episode. So
that's what she said.
Fun together. Yeah. I think, definitely, I normally don't put a child rating on this one, but I know there's some people on our Discord that have children, so definitely don't let them listen to this one. There's going to be one too many dick jokes, I'm sure, for children. This is not a Dad Hammer episode. We're talking about Fulgrim, who goes so far down the rabbit hole, he starts painting things with shit, because it's the textile, I guess, is amazing. We get all types of crazy shit in this episode. Yeah. What are your guys' one kind of sentence teaser about Fulgrim? Things you know or like, or what's your kind of vibe?
Tragic is what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
I
pick up
had my
one
preconceived
many
notions.
Things, and it's
I just think at first, knowing the little bit of Fulgrim that I do in the Emperor's Children, I was like, fuck this guy. Don't like him.
Rude.
And then having done some more research, I'm like, hang on. Let's hold the judgment.
This could happen to anyone.
Yeah.
He had the potential to be such a cool loyalist Primarch as an underdog Primarch, because his spoilers, his Legion was down to 200 Astartes before they found him, so there almost wasn't a third Legion, and he built it back up, which could have been such a cool underdog if he hadn't fallen to chaos. But here we are. And we're getting a new cool model this year, and I am stoked.
Yeah, very cool that lined up with this. Yeah, so let's jump into it and see where this story, the character Fulgrim, one of the Emperor's sons, takes us. Fulgrim, hailed before the Horus heresy as the Phoenician, stands as the exalted Primarch of the Emperor's Children Trade Legion. A paragon of beauty and charisma, Fulgrim's silvery white hair shimmered as a reflection of his inner ambition. His existence revolved around a singular, unwavering creed: the relentless pursuit of perfection, physical, intellectual, and spiritual. His name became synonymous with grandeur, his presence a manifestation of boundless pride. In the present, Fulgrim has transcended mortal form and become a serpentine four-armed demon prince of Slaanesh, residing on the demon world of Calyx within the Eye of Terror, or perhaps deeper within the ineffable realm of chaos itself. Fulgrim embodies a twisted splendor of his patron god. His transformation, however, conceals a progenoid truth. During the drop site massacre on Istvan V at the dawn of the Horus heresy, the Phoenician experienced a moment of profound regret. His heart, though shrouded in darkness, briefly flickered with remorse for his fall to the ruinous powers. A secret he bore in solitude, hidden even from his Chaos Space Marines. This fleeting weakness did not escape the predatory gaze of the greater demon of Slaanesh housed within the Blade of the Leer, a dread chaos artifact wielded by Fulgrim. Seizing the opportunity, the demon wrestled control of Fulgrim's body, imprisoned his spirit, and yet, in this dire captivity, the indomitable will of the Primarch prevailed. Fulgrim turned the imprisonment into an opportunity for mastery, probing the depths of chaos itself. In an act of supreme triumph, he overthrew his possessor, binding the demon in turn and reclaiming his own destiny. Emerging from the ordeal, Fulgrim's devotion to the path of excess deepened immeasurably. The allure of Slaanesh's unbridled sensations became the ultimate truth, and his unparalleled dedication did not go unnoticed. Before the Horus heresy reached its cataclysmic end, Fulgrim achieved apotheosis, ascending as the demon prince of Slaanesh, a living testament to the perfection he sought and the corruption he embraced. So there's a nice big grand kind of overview. We're going to go into a lot of this, but we got the story of a guy who falls to chaos, who is a little too OCD with his level of perfection that he tries to achieve in all things. And he achieves it in a lot of things, but also he lets it drive him a little mad, which then lets chaos in a little bit.
Yeah, this really kind of highlights the tragicness of his story, because he was able to throw off a demon possession and free himself. How cool would it have been if he did that and then realized how wrong he was and went back to the Emperor's side, but he was just too consumed by it.
Yeah, that'd be a cool little turning point for sure.
I think what's neat too is that there's been times in previous Lorehammer episodes where we kind of question, like, did this traitor have that repentance or kind of that recognition of regret before, especially Horus we're talking about, but did it happen? Did they realize what they were doing? And here it plainly says, like, yes, like he had that regret at that moment, which I think is cool to state that, especially with his story. So there's going to be a lot of things, I think, going into this episode. Whatever you know about Fulgrim, fantastic. And if you don't know, like, I think you're going to have some sympathy for the guy at the end.
Yeah.
Really.
It's like this downward spiral. If you're an older person, you've probably seen a friend who went down this downward spiral of like drug addiction or something, where they say they're feeling great, but on the outside you're like, whoa, dude, you're not doing so well. And you can just see them slowly just transform or something into this.
Dude.
Yeah.
I think okay. Downward spiral, Fulgrim. Is Fulgrim the Trent Reznor of the Warhammer 40k universe? Is he 9 Inch Nails? Is he Trent Reznor? I think so. Not necessarily look wise. I just think I think some dudes in the chat are going to get it. But like Downward Spiral, one of the greatest albums of all time. Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails, and I think he is. I'm going to say it. Fulgrim's the Trent Reznor of 40k. There it is, defined. Okay.
You heard it here. Yeah.
And
I
he
agree.
has
I
the
don't
noise
know
marines.
this, but I can clearly tell you're passionate about this. So you have me sold.
Oh man, tinfoil hat time, but also like, I think that's legit, 100%. There it is.
Okay, let me say it another way. Instead, we all know someone. We all know some celebrity that has gone through a downward spiral of drug addiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there
good.
you go.
Cool. Well, moving into his early life here. So, like all the Primarchs, Fulgrim's destiny was shaped by tragedy. I think tragedy is going to be a key word that you're going to hear throughout this episode. Tragedy and design. While still an infant, he was torn from Terra in a cataclysmic warp rift, an act orchestrated by the Chaos Gods to thwart the Emperor's vision of the Imperium. Their dark machinations aimed to halt the rise of humanity's order or corrupt it from within, ensuring their dominance would not falter. Taken from the Emperor's gene laboratory, hidden deep beneath the sacred Himalayan mountains, or Himalayan mountains for us, Fulgrim's gestation capsule traversed the galaxy before coming to rest on the barren, resource-starved mining world of Chemos. Chemos was a desolate world shrouded in perpetual light, its skies obscured by the thick dust of a nebula and faintly illuminated by the weak light of a binary star. Colonized during the Dark Age of technology, Chemos endured centuries of isolation, cut off from their interstellar commerce by warp storms of the Age of Strife. Its people teetered on the brink of extinction, their survival hinging on fortress factories that extracted every possible resource from the planet's decaying vapor mines and synthesizers. Ooh, okay, there's another one. Trent Reznor, synthesizers, Nine Inch Nails, Fulgrim, boom, here we are.
It's all connecting.
It's all connected. Every waking moment was devoted to labor. Art, leisure, and beauty had been forsaken in the unrelenting struggle to survive.
Yeah. So we get our first little tease of a different planet that a Primarch lands on. And as we go through the Primarchs, we're going to get this nature versus nurture every time, where what happens when you drop a super soldier baby onto this kind of planet? This planet that gets isolated by warp storm. It doesn't have a lot of resources. Oh, and by the way, there's no art.
There's no
Throw
art.
that in there.
What's cool
What do we
too is
get?
I think, yeah, what a lot of times you see with the Primarchs, they get dropped on a specific planet, and they tend to grow and embody that planet itself. You know, we get Lehman Russ on Fenris, and you know he's this big warrior and everything, and then you get I'm trying to think who else, Lionel Johnson and these guys that now still just embody where they come from.
Yeah.
With Fulgrim, it's almost like the antithesis. So it's almost as if like he's the opposite of what the planet itself embodied, and then he formed that whatever was lacking, like here, art, culture, even just almost basic necessity of living and like quality of life, and then changes it completely and fills that void of what the planet was lacking.
Yeah, like you would have thought that he comes out of this planet as like some like dwarven archetype miner guy who's excellent at mining.
Uh-huh.
You know, he's like, yeah, we make the best weapons here, but no, he rebelled against that for sure. He had a taste for finer things.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see the opposite reaction happen in this harsh reality. Oh, what do you got, Logan?
In
I
this
heard that.
harsh
What do you
reality,
got?
I was gonna say another Primarch that kind of did the opposite of that. Is my favorite one because these are my two favorite Primarchs. Korax, because he grew up on a slave planet, and his entire thing is he wants to free as many people as he can. So it's just he's another one like that, and I think it's neat. I also think it's funny I'm drawn to the two Primarchs that are the opposite of where they grew up, but it is cool, and that's kind of like the nature versus nurture thing too, because nature was enslavement, and now nurture was enslavement, so he fights for freedom. Fulgrim's nurture was industrialist, and now he wants art and beauty and perfection and everything.
yeah.
Yep. In this harsh reality, Fulgrim's arrival was nothing short of miraculous. When scouts from the fortress factory of Calyx's planetary police force, the caretakers, discovered the capsule that had carried him to their world, they were captivated by the child's divine beauty. Moved beyond reason, they pleaded with the ruling oligarchy of Calyx, the executives, to spare the infant, defying the grim custom of executing orphans to conserve resources. Their pleas succeeded, and Fulgrim was entrusted to one of his rescuers, who raised him as their own. Named for an ancient deity of Chemosian lore, Fulgrim quickly transcended his origins. By the age of half the standard years required for most Calaxians to join the workforce, Fulgrim had already proved himself capable of matching the output of an adult laborer. His unparalleled intellect grasped the intricacies of Chemosian mining technology with astonishing ease. Harnessing this natural brilliance, he began to revolutionize their failing systems, introducing innovations that dramatically increased efficiency and output. By the age of 15 Terran years, Fulgrim had ascended from a humble laborer to an executive. It's like Boss Baby.
Yo,
He's just
Fulgrim,
coming up in the
wearing a
world.
business suit. Yeah.
Yeah. Dang. Can you imagine also just like being ordered around by this kid? Like, he so clearly has his shit together and it's upper echelon, upper tier, and he's bossing you around. I love it.
There was a meme I saw today, and it made me laugh. It says, what do you mean what do you mean a superiority complex? There's nothing complex about my superiority. And I just feel like that's something Fulgrim would say.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Shit.
I almost
By
made
the
a spit take.
I know. I was close. I was sipping.
It was so close.
I was sipping. Yeah. We're going to just hold this here now. By the age of 15 Terran years, Fulgrim had ascended from a humble laborer to an executive, one of the leaders of the fortress factory of Calyx. Confronted with the dire reality of Chemos' declining resources and population, Fulgrim took action with the fervor of a savior. Under his visionary leadership, teams of engineers ventured to ancient, abandoned mining outposts, reviving operations that had lain dormant since before the Age of Strife. Production soared to unprecedented levels, and Fulgrim's innovations birthed a new era of prosperity. Which now kind of makes me think also of like Zoolander when he goes into the mine. Right? He's, like, Fulgrim's just blue stealing the whole time and looking
A little bit of coal on his face, brushes it off.
Yeah, but
Swinging.
Fulgrim was also helpful instead of just looking pretty.
He did both.
Yeah, it's pretty
He did
cool.
both.
Like, before beauty and art and stuff, he has to build up this planet and make sure no one dies, including himself. Has to start developing new technologies. Just naturally, that kind of happens because he's so intellectual. And
And there's a care for his people too. Like, it doesn't outright say it, but like, why would you do this? Why would you go to these lengths to create prosperity within your own planet if you didn't care about these people, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, especially like all the trader Primarchs in some way do care. Like, Magnus made the deal to keep his sons from dying. So did Mortarion. Fulgrim brought this planet back from the dead, and then he brought his legion back from the dead. So there's definitely like that caring aspect of them.
Yeah.
It just gets corrupted and directed into destructive things instead of loyal imperial things.
Yeah, like, just imagine how crazy it would be to be one of these Primarchs, to get fired to a planet as a baby. You have no memory of it. And by the time you start remembering things, you're just like already in this weird category of like super kid, You don't know that you're the Emperor's child and that he's coming to find you. Or maybe you do, and you're telling people that that's the case, and then they think you're just a fucking weirdo Primarch.
I think some of them knew that they weren't born of that planet and they weren't meant to be there. There was something greater.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were kind of standoffish.
Yeah.
Like
Magnus, he taught to the Emperor, so he's like, Magnus, he's like, I'm talking to the Emperor right now.
Everyone's like, yeah, okay.
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 For the first time in millennia, Chemosian mines produced surpluses. The surging wealth allowed Fulgrim to procure vast quantities of food and essential supplies from interstellar traders, lifting the yoke of starvation that had long oppressed his people. As the planet flourished, Fulgrim championed a renaissance of art and culture, restoring the beauty and creativity that had been sacrificed to necessity. Oof. That one hit hard. I like that. His leadership transformed Chemos into a beacon of efficiency and elegance. His very presence a testament to humanity's ability to rise from despair and greatness, much like Trent Reznor did in Ohio, rising to the level that he is now with Nine Inch Nails. It's there. It's
Taking
there, guys.
shots at
It's so there.
Ohio.
Well, oh, come on. Just is Chemos the Ohio of the galaxy? I don't know.
This is very Gen Z humor.
Hard
of
to
you
say.
to be going here. You're gonna say skibbity now?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
play
Don't
their
do Skibbity
games.
Toilet Court. Don't do it.
Nah. I'm gonna resist. Fulgrim, the child of legend and architect of Chemos revival, embodied the perfection he so fervently pursued, becoming the heart and soul of a world that had once been destined to fade into obscurity. His journey was of unparalleled triumph, a shining narrative of determination and vision unmatched among the stars.
Okay, cool. So, he made a pretty cool little planet for himself. He took it from, he took it down the drag queen stage drag race thing, the runway, and showed off a couple different options. What are we doing here? Which direction do we want to take this planet? And then they turned it into a nice, luxurious world.
What was that analogy?
I forgot what it was called. I forgot what a runway was called. So then I had to what the fuck
Oh.
is spark in there?
Oh, that's how we got there. That's how we got there.
Because you're
I'm like,
like,
what
it's
is
a
that
drag
word?
race. I'm like,
Okay.
I'm like,
huh?
fuck. The only runways I watch are apparently with drag cars, of course. Drag racing cars.
Oh, yeah. That's what
Anyways, yeah, that happens sometimes. That's a brain scramble for you.
I don't know if we get
But he
into
turned his
it
planet
later
into a
on,
cool
but-
spot.
Yeah, but I don't know if we get into it later on. But doesn't he end up becoming a ruler of he kind of becomes like the ruler of this planet? Chat,
Yeah,
let's
for
get
sure.
a chat on this. Is that okay?
They're talking about Conrad again because chat is so one-minded. All they care about is one Primarch.
We'll get there.
You should do him last.
Just to spite the chat.
Just do him last.
Oh.
And be the shortest episode. Like, all right, chat, you already know about Conrad, so he's a Primarch. Bye.
But I think he
Adios.
becomes. I do think he becomes a not just a leader, but I don't want to say overlord, but ruler of the planet.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. In 830.m30, the veil of Chemos' long isolation was finally torn asunder. Through perpetual twilight, many Stormbird dropships descended from the heavens, their battle-scarred hulls bearing unmistakable Imperial Anquilla, the sigil of the Emperor of Mankind. The arrival of these heralds of destiny stirred something deep within Fulgrim, fragments of memory whispering truths yet unrealized. Though Chemos lacked true military forces, Fulgrim's caretakers, the planet's dedicated enforcers, encircled the landing site with cautious vigilance. With commanding grace, Fulgrim ordered his people to welcome the strangers and escort them to Kallax, his seat of power. So there you go, Court. He's in charge at this time. In the sanctity of his quarters, Fulgrim stood before these agmatic warriors clad in the finest power armor, their presence radiating the unmistakable aura of a superior civilization, one that embodied the culture and the refinement he had dreamed of restoring to Chemos. From their ranks stepped a figure of unmatched radiance, the Emperor himself. In that transcendent moment, Fulgrim's gaze met his creator's, and no words were necessary. He knelt before the master of mankind, offering his blade and his eternal fealty. With unmistakable conviction, Fulgrim vowed to serve the Emperor and the Imperium of Man with all the brilliance and devotion he could muster. You got to think that was such a cool moment for him to grow up on such a dingy planet that he kind of turned around, and then there's this perfect being now that's just there for him, and he knows it's there for him.
Yeah, he's like, good job with this planet. Now you can wear my symbol, and no one else can. Here you go.
Yeah,
That is true. I do like in a lot of the newer models, they still hold the giant Aquila wing that he gets in like the twisted laughing of the Emperor's plans, but that's down the road. We'll get there.
Yeah.
I think it's cool too that he instantly accepts his fate with the Emperor, as far as just like serving him goes. Like there's no trial, there's no test, there's no like, well, I don't know, maybe we should drink a bunch and see who wins. Well, maybe we need to chase this big lizard, across this fire planet. Like, no, he just it's like perfection recognizes its maker in a really cool way.
I'm going to ruin your analogy because that kind of reminded me of I know you're going to hate me. That kind of reminded me of like a bunch of Disney movies where the princess is just like, I don't belong here. Why don't I belong here? And then their Prince Charming or their parents find them, and it all clicks and makes sense.
No, that makes absolute sense. Fulgrim is definitely a Disney princess.
Okay, I didn't want to ruin your Nine Inch Nails thing by calling Fulgrim a Disney princess.
He is still Trent Reznor in the 40K universe, but he's also Disney princess Fulgrim.
Which princess?
The Princess of Pride, for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Because
I think that's another thing. Like Fulgrim grows up on this planet, very clearly right away finds out he's different than everyone else there. He starts to get that superiority complex, build that pride up, that he starts to just really, the foundations are being laid for the pride. And when the Emperor shows up, he's like, I knew the whole time I wasn't. This planet was just like the first step. He takes that satisfaction and
do we just had a freeze moment?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yep.
All right, cool.
Carry on.
Cool. All right.
The Emperor, in turn, revealed the grand tapestry of the Great Crusade, a monumental endeavor to reunite the scattered shards of humanity under one banner, ensuring survival against the perils of a hostile galaxy and reclaiming mankind's rightful dominion. Imperial records immortalized the monumentous year of Fulgrim's ascension, 830.m30, a date also linked to the creation of his flagship, the Pride of the Emperor, a vessel of unmatched elegance and power, wrought by the ancient mechanicum of Mars. A company... What?
That would just be so cool. Like, the Emperor rolls up to your planet, starts handing you gifts, like, oh yeah, by the way, I made this starship for you too, by the way.
Yeah, the best and most beautiful starship I have is yours, my beautiful and best son that isn't sanguineous.
Take it.
All right. Accompanying the Emperor to Terra, Fulgrim eagerly sought to unite with the Third Legion, the Emperor's children, crafted from his genetic essence. Yet his joy turned to horror as he learned of a tragic disaster. An accident had destroyed the majority of the gene seed cultivated from his DNA, and a viral infection had decimated the Legion's ranks. A mere 200 Astartes survived, their numbers a pale shadow of what it should be. Yet Fulgrim would not allow despair to tarnish this moment. He addressed the warriors of the Third Legion with words so inspiring, so imbued with purpose and vision, that even the Emperor was moved. On that day, the Emperor decreed that the Third Legion be the Emperor's children, granting them unparalleled honor of bearing his personal symbol, the Imperial Aquila, upon their armor. This singular privilege bound them irrevocably to the Emperor's vision of perfection and glory. That's super cool. And I'm reading I talked earlier about this when we were getting ready, but I'm reading the Fulgrim book right now, and it's talking about how he rebuilt his legion and some of the things that went on. And there was an interesting moment where the original 200 were talking about the new Astartes that came afterwards. And it's
Yeah.
kind of paralleled how a lot of the because I know you hate Primaris, it's kind of paralleled how a lot of people talk about Primaris and Old Marines in the lore, because he's talking to Fabius Bile and he says, your battle brothers need you, and he goes, no, my battle brothers are dead, because they had died. He doesn't consider the new ones part of him, which kind of sowed like not a dissent, but kind of like a little fracture in the perfection that he was making his legion out to be.
Yeah, so he was like one of the original 200 Terran born guys or whatever left. And then from that point on, it was all Chemos born.
Yeah, he was also the last apothecary that they had. Like, the legion was they had been relegated to just being a parade legion, because they didn't have any other purpose anymore other than to look pretty. Yeah, that's all the Emperor's children were before Fulgrim came back. Because what are you going to do with 200 Astartes that are dying?
That's a lot of worlds you can take. Oh, well,
I was going to say, take a fucking planet. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah, you could, but they have bad gene seed. They're sick. It's hard to make more of them. So if you can't make more of them and you can't salvage them, what would you do other than use them as a flex against other people?
So Fulgrim was able to come back in and, with access to his gene seed again, they're able to kind of stabilize it and carry on making us Astartes.
I don't know if it's further down, but I think even with him back, there was still problems with the gene seed. And we'll find out later.
Yeah, we'll find out some.
All right, where was I? I lost my place. I'm sorry. Mere 200 Astartes. Aha! All right. From that moment, Fulgrim embraced the pursuit of perfection as his defining creed. He sought to embody the ideal the Emperor represented, driving his legion to reflect this ambition in every facet of their existence. Their military strategies became masterpieces of precision. Their culture flourished with artistic expression. Even their physical appearances were cultivated with meticulous care. For Fulgrim, perfection was not a goal, but a way of life. His own visage was a testament to this ideal. Fulgrim was breathtaking, with flowing silver hair that cascaded down his back, wide, luminous eyes that seemed to see into the soul, and a voice as melodic as a symphony. His full lips often curved into a knowing smile, disarming friend and foe alike. His power armor was a masterpiece, resplendent in imperial purple and gleaming gold, adorned with an intricate embellishments and filigree. Over this, he draped luxurious high-collared cloaks, each embroidered to rival the finest works of art. Fulgrim, in every action and every word, exuded almost a divine charisma, an undeniable testament to his belief that the Emperor's children and he himself were destined to be nothing less than the paragon of humanity's greatness.
Cool. I love it. He just right away starts to go over the top with everything. We heard his little description there. He has layers upon layers, from furs to linens to scarves. Like, he just has the best of everything draped in him.
I mean, it's like I joked earlier. There is nothing complex about his superiority. It's just a fact.
Just is.
Okay, ready?
Here we
go. Just saying.
I like too that he. Sorry.
No, I'm uncovering more stuff here. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Calyx is the city on Chemos, right? Okay. So, Calyx means cup. Okay, that's the definition of the term if you look it up. Ohio is Seneca for river. River is water. Water goes in a cup. Okay, parallels there, right? Check it out. Now, who else embodies a lot of what Fulgrim is all about as far as the looks, the lavish lifestyle, all the vibe and the perfection? David Bowie. Okay. Now, who did David Bowie go on tour with in 1995 to 1996 and have produced one of his albums? Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails.
Oh,
Boom.
of
There it
course.
is. It's all connected, guys. It's all connected.
Mhm.
And also,
do
Calyx is a shelving unit from IKEA.
Whoa.
And that's all I've got for that part, but we're going to connect that later probably. So there we go.
So did you do a line of warp
Yeah.
dust before we started recording to just be coming up with this on the fly?
It just
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense
How
to
you-
me.
You're going full English teacher, like the curtains were red because he was angry. No, the teacher just like red. I'm like, no, it means
There's
something.
meaning. There's meaning to it.
There's meaning in everything.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. It's in the script. I don't know where. I'm gonna add it before we get to it, but I will make it fit.
Just saying. Anyways.
Up now to talk about the Emperor's Children and kind of their vibe at this moment. We talked a little bit about how they're rebuilt, but yeah, let's get into that a little more. The Emperor's Children were once the pride of the Imperium, the third legion of the Astartes, an exalted embodiment of the Emperor's vision for his Space Marines. Few legions ever knew such honor, for they were bestowed with the Emperor's own name, a mark of distinction few could claim. Even fewer received the Emperor's personal blessing, and the Palatine Aquila, his sacred icon, was given to them by his own hand as a symbol of their unparalleled martial excellence. It was a mark of absolute perfection, and none could dispute the Emperor's children were the finest expression of the Emperor's ideas. One thing I decided on doing when writing these two, I decided to do the legions in chronological order, not of discovery, but of like how the Emperor envisioned them. And I think this is kind of cool. Like the Emperor's Children is the second legion, and we start to see now what the Emperor might have had planned for them. He gives him his own personal like heraldry and stuff. He's like, I got my Dark Angels made, my external attack force. Let's make another one. Let's make one for me now. And he just makes more and more. It's kind of cool to see where they would kind of slot in that chronological order.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, kind of creatively that way too, rather than just going discovery.
Yeah. As the living embodiment of the Emperor's design, the Emperor's Children stood above all others, their deeds and reputation unmatched. Noble in action, flawless in appearance, and untouchable in skill, they were paragons of strength, civility, and unwavering loyalty. The purity of their purpose was unquestionable, and their loyalty to the Emperor was absolute. They were the very epitome of the Emperor's dream for the Astartes, magnificent, regal, and unswaveringly loyal. Yet, in a tragic fall that would stain their name forever, the once great legion was consumed by their own hubris. What began as a noble pursuit of excellence turned into an insatiable lust for perfection that could never be quenched. Their pride, once a virtue, became their damnation, and the hedonistic desires they sought could never be satisfied by the natural world. Slaves of these desires, they abandoned their honor and loyalty, sinking lower than the most debased of creatures. Now the Emperor's Children are a fractured legion, shattered by their allegiance to chaos, much like the World Eaters, uniting no longer by purpose or pride, but devoured by their own relentless quest for indulgence and power. Yeah. So over time, they just can't even hold it together. It's cool that they go from like this is what the Emperor wanted. They wear that purple and gold. They're so regal. They were just doing parade marches and stuff. And yeah, all those band camp parties I hear are rowdy. So just took it.
Well, it is kind of funny when you think about, because when you think about people that have to be perfect, an easy example is a lot of college students are trying to be perfect all the time. And they typically cave under that pressure and end up doing drugs to try to keep performing and going on. I'm not saying it's a one-to-one comparison, but the legion that had to be perfect all the time is now the drug-infused legion. So, just saying.
Problem child.
I feel like I heard you make a parallel to Saved by the Bell when Jesse Spano is trying to study for a bunch of exams and sing in the band and whatnot, and so she gets hooked on like caffeine pills. And no, is this not making any connection, Logan?
No, I've never seen an episode of Saved by the Bell in my life.
Jeez, oh man, there's so
Well,
much
we've all
pop
been
culture
hooked on
that ties into
caffeine
Fulgrim.
pills.
Look, we've all been there, man.
We've all been there. Who doesn't do
Yeah.
who doesn't do caffeine on a regular basis?
Yeah, fuck.
I wonder if there's an expectation too from Fulgrim, like, because he comes from a planet, a world where perfection just really isn't discussed. Art isn't discussed, until he comes and makes it so. But like he then once he meets the Emperor, there's this expectation of like, I've done so much. Do I need to continue and move forward? Like, I wonder if that's a self-imposed perfectionism. Like, not to get too deep into it, but like as a recovering perfectionist, for sure, like it feels like maybe even just meeting the Emperor is kind of a catalyst for him chasing that perfection, because he sees what it is and he sees what it could be.
Yeah, yeah. And like part of that pride is too, like, not only does he see that perfection, then he's like, well, I should be the best. Like if he can reach perfection, I can too, driving him even further. Yeah.
I don't think it's like he's driving or he thinks if he can be perfect, I can. I think he genuinely believes, no, I am perfect, because in the book he literally demands his sons do things perfectly. There's a scene where someone tries to poison him, and he just signals to all of his legionnaires that are there's only six of them in the room, but they all converge together in perfect sequence, not bumping anyone or knocking anyone over, but they just perfectly come together in 100% sync. And it says, as Fulgrim demanded of them. So it's just, I think it's just how he is I am perfect and everything I do will be perfect.
Yeah. That could even kind of stem from just like an early age, being in the mines, not having a lot, so you just learn not to waste anything, so you make the perfect cuts.
Ooh,
ration stuff perfectly.
I like that too, because he perfected.
I just kind of got off a Votan episode, and they're talking about like the void of space being their enemy, so they have to do everything perfectly, so they don't waste his want or whatever. So,
I like that a lot, because that would really drive someone to be perfect. If it's, I only have 10 grains of rice, these are going to be the best 10 grains of rice I've ever eaten in my life, kind of thing.
Yeah.
This opens up a lot of weird emotional windows to my own perfectionism now. Thanks a lot, guys.
I don't know what people tell you, but you are perfect as you are.
Yeah. You're beautifully and wonderfully made, Court. Just accept it.
All 6'13" of you.
Yep,
giant
that's
man.
right. Primarch, baby.
You are
all right.
tall enough.
Phoenix and the Gorgon. And what's cool is like Logan and I are actually Phoenicians. So when they talk about Fulgrim the Phoenician, because we live in Phoenix, we are Phoenicians. So that we have a little bit of closeness to Fulgrim.
Throw them gang signs up.
The only gang sign I know is I can't do it right now, but it's the blood that they were doing in
Aquila, baby.
Hey man, it's the fucking Aquila. You got the Emperor's permission on this one.
I don't know. Have you guys watched Space King from Flash Gets on YouTube?
Fuck yeah, I did.
Yeah, so it's the Sanguiners that are really the Blood Angels, and every time they're like, blood, they just do the hand thing. Be positive.
Oh man.
Please send me that link, Logan.
100%.
Okay. Phoenix and the Gorgon. Excuse me. Beneath the fiery heavens of Terra, amidst the grand forge of Mount Narodnia, the destinies of two legends intertwined: the radiant Fulgrim, Primarch of the Emperor's children, and the indomitable Ferrus Manus. Ooh, here we are. Primarch of the Iron Hands. The Phoenician and the Gorgon meet for the first time, their encounter igniting a brotherhood that would be celebrated across the stars during the Great Crusade. At this time, Ferrus Manus toiled with unmatched vigor among the Forge Masters who had once served the Tarawak clan, shaping wonders with his liquid metal hands. Their impossible beauty-defying comprehension. Into the world of molten brilliance descended Fulgrim, accompanied by his Phoenix Guard, their perfection casting an almost ethereal glow against the gritty determination of the iron hands. Though the artisans trembled before these divine beings, fearing conflict, the two Primarchs felt an innate connection, forged by the alchemy of the warp and the design of the Emperor himself. Fulgrim, ever the embodiment of elegance and charisma, announced his intent to craft the most magnificent weapon in history, an instrument of unparalleled artistry to honor the Great Crusade. Ferrus Manus, ever pragmatic and bold, mocked the Primarch's soft hands, declaring them unworthy of the Forge's demands. The challenge was accepted with regal poise, and thus began a contest of craft that would resonate through eternity, and thus also began the greatest reality TV show in 40K history. There it is.
What weapons best? Joining us on the stage is Fulgrim.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why, but when you said the soft hands thing, because these guys are all British, so you picture it like, no, you've got soft hands kind of thing. But when you said that, I pictured like he's got a really thick Southern draw, like you got soft hands on you, boy.
Yeah,
He's the only Primarch that talks like that too.
Yeah.
It is fun. Like you don't get to see a lot of Primarchs interacting with each other very often, and when you do, it's usually fighting, so not a lot of words are going. But it's cool to see a friendship develop and kind of that jest and joking back and forth that they have. Makes them a little more human feeling.
Yeah, and the obvious difference between the two that kind of binds them together. I love that. It's just it's the yin and yang. It's the Chris Farley, David Spade on the road trip. You know, it's Spock and Kirk.
Perfection game.
There it is.
Respects
Double
game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I was gonna say we need to make a pop culture counter for Court on this episode.
It's
everything he possibly can to pop culture today.
Yeah, we need to make a spin wheel for him. Okay, spin. What do you need to make here?
Dude, that'd actually be a funny game. You would just spin the wheel and it's like, all right, Court, you have to tie the fall of Cadia to Bluey the dog. Go.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, weirdly, we're not going to get into this, but I did watch 3 episodes of Bluey last night. Just saying.
So it's possible.
It is.
We're close.
We're so close.
I'm so on this, by the way. I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to have this for you by the next episode. So stay tuned, listeners.
All right. I expect nothing but Bluey comments.
Oh my gosh. All right. Moving forward. Fulgrim, ever the embodiment of elegance and charisma. Did we do this? Yeah, we did this. Soft hands. That's right. So you got soft hands. All right. So for 3 relentless months, the Forge thundered with their labor. Sweat and molten steel intermingled as their divine rivalry manifested in the creation of masterpieces. When the work was done, Fulgrim unveiled Forgebreaker, a warhammer. Yep, and I think like one of the first, if not the only ones in canon Warhammer. A warhammer of such majesty that is seemed to hold the power of storms within its ebon and gold-threaded haft. Ferrus Manus, in turn, presented Fireblade, a golden sword whose eternal flames mirrored the soul of the forge itself. Yet in an act of humility and respect, each brother declared the other's work superior, exchanging their creations in a gesture that sealed their unbreakable bond. Fucking love that. Like genuine, no, you win. No, you win. Oh, okay, cool. And then they trade. So cool. So cool.
Yeah. Both weapons are super cool. They almost seem like magical, even though they're not like necessarily warp made, but like they're just so masterfully made.
Yeah, and the fact that they clearly made the other person's like style. You know what I mean? Like it just seems to fit. Yeah.
Very nice.
Forgebreaker became a symbol of Fulgrim's artistry and Ferrus Manus's trust. Its ebony haft laced with gold and silver lightning led to an eagle-shaped head, fierce and regal. The warhammer radiated not only power, but the essence of brotherhood, loyalty, and vengeance. I wonder what color that would be. Interesting.
What color is vengeance?
Yeah, what color is brotherhood, loyalty, and vengeance? Chartreuse?
Okay, so we're all fans of Batman here. Vengeance is
Yes.
clearly black because that's the color of his cape and cowl.
Loyalty is
What about
blue.
yellow? Because
let's
he wears
say.
yellow too. Yeah, okay.
Yellow is his loyalty to the Bat family.
Oh. I'll buy it.
You're gonna
I'll
make
buy
the
it.
chat talk about Conrad Cruz if you get too close on this.
Dude, they've been talking about
Careful.
it.
Just
They just
careful.
keep throwing him in. They're like, hey, what about the lame wannabe Batman Primarch?
Oh man. So brotherhood, loyalty, and vengeance. Boom, we've got it. But a true embodiment of the legend that was Fulgrim and his connection to Ferrus Manus. This profound camaraderie extended beyond their creations. Fulgrim's vibrant appreciation for beauty often clashed with Ferrus Manus's pragmatic disdain. After their union, the two joined their brothers at the imperial palace, where Sanguinius, there you go, ever the celestial artist, unveiled treasures from Baal, wondrous gemstones and luminous statues. Fulgrim reveled in the opulent display, praising the shared reverence for beauty, while Ferrus Manus dismissed the gifts and as distractions from their duty, and probably grumbled in a southern accent, much like what Logan thought.
And we
It
don't
was-
need
What am
all
I
them
going to
pretty
do with
rocks.
this?
They're not part of war. What purpose do they serve in this war? I need
there's
iron,
some
not
pretty statues.
rocks.
It was then that Fulgrim, laughing in his melodious way, christened Ferrus the Gorgon, a name that encapsulated his stern demeanor and unyielding focus, yet carried the affectionate weight of a sibling's jest. The name lingered, and a paradoxical tribute to Ferrus Manus's unadorned spirit and Fulgrim's vibrant passion. Together, the Phoenician and the Gorgon stood as opposites bound by common purpose, to restore the galaxy to its former glory and to honor their father, the Emperor. With every forged creation and every battlefield triumph, their bond, immortalized in legend, remains a testament to the greatness of the Primarchs and the eternal legacy they left in their wake. And that's it. That's the end. We just shut it there because it's such a beautiful ending. Done. Story
Yeah,
over,
nothing
guys.
happens.
Nothing
Two brothers
happens.
reunite,
Yeah.
bond over a common purpose, and then go kill a bunch of Xenos together. That's where it ends.
Yep. Off into the
100%.
sunset.
Not
A
gonna
real
need
lesson for the
pictures
kids.
later. A real lesson for the kids.
I'm definitely not crying later. Yeah, that's certainly
I
not
can
going
hear-
to happen.
I can hear it already. You don't. We're not even there yet.
Don't worry. Don't worry. We're not getting even close yet. It's fine. We still have to talk
Oh,
about the Great
man.
Crusade, and nothing bad happens there.
Yeah,
Take
nothing
comfort.
bad happens
Nothing.
there.
Yeah. Oh.
Are we? I don't remember. Are we going to get to the? Yeah, we are going to get to the heresy. I'm
Yeah.
just skimming
You
ahead
have
to see
to.
if I'm reading it or it looks like I'm going to read it.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, it's very cool watching these two have like a nice close friendship, and they get put side by side because the Emperor's Children doesn't have the numbers, so they kind of tag along with these ones with the Iron Hands. They become friends and whatever, show each other's talents. Very cool.
Yeah, I think they have the most brotherly relationship of the Primarchs too that I can remember seeing in lore, because most of them are just
Yeah.
like brother, like they're just acknowledging each other that they're in the room with each other. But these two feel like, oh yeah, no, we are brothers.
Yeah. Or some, might have a very good business relationship rapport. But yeah, you're right. These guys
Yeah.
definitely like very brotherly for sure. They make the jokes, jests.
Yeah, they
like
feel
it.
like brothers in spirit, not just in our dad's the emperor and we're demigods sent to kill the universe.
Cool.
There's also recognition too of, I would say, Fulgrim to Ferrus Manus and just kind of his pragmatic, practical, hardworking vibe because of where Fulgrim comes from, because of coming from Chemos and seeing what that vibe is like. It's not that, you know, he's just this beautiful artist, whatnot, and doesn't understand that side. He understands it very well. So to see it embodied in his brother to the fullest potential
Yeah.
is probably actually pretty cool to him.
Yeah.
I also wonder, this is this whole thing that just dawned on me, but maybe Fulgrim's also smarter than Ferris, and hear me out on this, because Fulgrim's smart to know how to build machines to be really, really efficient so he can have the soft hands, while his brother has to be hands-on all the time to get the same results. Entire conjecture, but I think it's funny.
It's so good. I'm drawing now tough parallels between Fulgrim and myself, who, you know, works a part-time assistant mechanic and then comes back and does podcasts and creates art and all that. And I'm just, oh no.
You're both inside of you. There are two Primarchs. One is Ferris Manus and one is Fulgrim.
Yeah. Practical beauty and elegance.
Oh,
That's
that's
right.
really funny.
Oh man.
All right. The Great Crusade, the best part of the thing. No, all right.
On with the genocide.
Yeah, let's get xenophobic genocide. Let's go. All right. From the very beginning, Fulgrim, the Phoenician and Primarch of the Emperor's Children, burned with an ambition as pure as it was relentless. Like his brother Primarchs, he was determined to carve his legacy into the vast canvas of the Great Crusade. Yet the Third Legion, his Emperor's Children, were small in number, a shadow of the formidable force it would become. As a result, they were initially placed under the command of Horus, the War Master, and fought alongside his mighty Luna Wolves in the conquest and pacification of the Eastern Fringe within the Ultima Segmentum. Yeah, that's a hard word for me to read. All right. In these early campaigns, the bond between Fulgrim and Horus flourished. Two beings of unparalleled greatness. Their friendship was forged amidst the fires of war, and their camaraderie would become a legend in its own right. Together, their legions brought entire sectors into compliance, their combined strength and unstoppable force in the Emperor's grand design. Over the decades, the Emperor's Children slowly grew. The gene seed crafted from Fulgrim's own perfect DNA brought new life into the Legion as recruits from both Terra and Fulgrim's desolate homeworld of Chemos swelled its ranks. These warriors, embodiments of Fulgrim's ideals, transformed the Third Legion into a force worthy of their illustrious name. During this time, their fortress monastery was established on Chemos, with the ancient fortress factory of Calax, a place of great significance to their Primarch, and a beacon of their rising glory. When the Emperor judged the Emperor's Children ready, their numbers and prowess restored, Fulgrim was entrusted with command of the 28th Expeditionary Fleet. The Phoenician, now free to lead his legion to conquest, began a campaign of unmatched brilliance, bringing dozens of worlds into the fold of the Imperium. Each victory was a masterpiece, a testament to Fulgrim's vision of perfection in all things. Amongst these triumphs lay the world of Larian, an advanced Xeno civilization whose beauty and sophistication rivaled any Fulgrim had encountered. It was here, amidst the alien splendor and deadly challenges of Larian, that the Phoenicians' destiny was irrevocably altered. This world, with its forbidden allure, would become the stage upon which Fulgrim's fate was written, an ascension and a tragedy intertwined.
Yeah. So what a great lineup of teachers Fulgrim gets along the way. He's found by the Emperor. Not all Primarchs get that. He gets to spend a little bit of time with them. Then he kind of gets sent to Horus, the War Master, and gets to go on crusades with him. And then when his legion grows a little bit more, then he gets to go hang out with the Gorgon. Yeah, and he becomes friends with like all these ones as well, which is very interesting. Just he's got that pretty privilege or something. Everyone just really warms up to him real quick.
The other thing that we can't really touch on because we'd be here forever if we talked about every conquest, but the first planet that he went to conquer on his own, he went to do it with just 6 legionnaires. That him and 6 of his guys, including Fabius Bile, went down to the planet to bring it into compliance perfectly. Partly to prove a point, because I think it was Lehman Russ goaded him into doing it because he didn't think he could do it. So he went to prove a point.
Yeah, he's always setting these like almost personal goals, these points to throw back at people. We'll get into the Lear one pretty quick here in Fulgrim's Fall, but he does the same thing where he's like, yeah, most legions would take, I think, 400 years, but we'll do it in a week. Or I forget what the numbers are, and I think I wrote it down. But it's another one of these challenges that he can then attain, but then also throw it in everyone's kind of face that, like, I actually was able to do this.
I'll make a movie reference this time. He's kind of like Annie in Community, where he's always got to be you weren't with me at first, but he's like early Community. She's always got to be perfect, got to be this, got to be this, got to be this, and that's kind of what Fulgrim's doing successfully. But that's there you go, Cord. I'll join you in the parallels.
When you said Annie, I was like, okay, Little Orphan Annie, but no, yeah, and who also is at community college because she got hooked on pills and ran through a plate glass window. So.
We've all done that on the caffeine pills. Come on. It's
Once
again, the same.
Yeah.
And Jesse Spano in Saved by the Bell is kind of the Annie of that generation. So there's more parallels. Trent
7 more strings.
Fulgrim, there it is.
Yeah.
The Court's expanded Fulgrim universe.
I don't know why. I didn't give a shit about the Emperor's Children, really. I mean, I was like, yeah, they're cool, I guess. Like, I had a couple Noise Brain minis growing up. I thought that was cool. Yeah. And I was like, they're just the pretty guys that turn to Slaanesh and they like buttholes now and like pus and things, and we get it. And that's cool. And then looking into this, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is a good story.
I'm going to be so dismissive when we get to the Space Wolves because you said all this.
I know.
I will get my revenge.
I know.
It'll be perfect.
All right. Fulgrim's Fall. Fulgrim's first step away from the Emperor's grace was made on the Xenos world of Valerian, a place of haunting allure and treacherous beauty. Officially designated as 28-3, it marked the third conquest of the 28th Expeditionary Fleet. Unbeknownst to Fulgrim and his Emperor's children, the Serpentine Lear were devoted worshippers of Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess, whose insidious influence permeated every aspect of their existence. Larian, a resource-rich ocean world of immense strategic value, was a prize that could have propelled the Great Crusade even further heights. Yet the Lair, blind to the destiny of mankind, spurned the Emperor's benevolence and met the Imperium's emissaries with disdain and violence. They had refused to bow to humanity's manifest supremacy, and Fulgrim, as the Primarch of the unrelenting pride and perfection, saw their defiance as an affront that demanded retribution. The Emperor's children brought swift and terrible war on the Larian. They exterminated the Lear with precise and overwhelming force, fulfilling Fulgrim's decree to conquer the planet within a single Terran month. This decisive victory demonstrated the Third Legion's mastery of war, their pursuit of perfection reflected in every maneuver and strike, yet beneath the surface their triumph lay a darkness that none could foresee. These books are really cool. I love this one battle. They did a great job of that and like fighting these serpentine creatures. It's very cool. Just the speed and just the parallels of, if you know what Fulgrim looks like today, very cool to see it all come together.
Yeah, a bit of a little tie-in there. It's cool.
Larian itself was a marvel of ingenuity. Its continents had long since sunk beneath the oceans, leaving the Lair to construct their civilization atop floating coral islands. Suspended by anti-gravitic generators, these islands formed a grand network that revolved around the central nexus in the planet's atmosphere. The Lear, masters of genetic engineering, had reshaped themselves into castes perfectly suited for their roles. Their technology, rivaling or surpassing the Imperium's in certain fields, was a testament to their ingenuity and their hubris. But their brilliance was tainted. At the heart of the Larian, the nexus of their coral cities, stood a temple dedicated to Slaanesh. Within its unholy sanctuary rested a singular artifact, a silver-bladed sword, veined with a maleficent beauty. Its pommel set with a crude amethyst gem. This demon blade, a vessel of the greater demon of Slaanesh, was the source of the Lear's corruption. Their entire society had succumbed to chaos, reveling in a relentless pursuit of sensory extremes and perverse joys of self-destruction. It's so crazy that this demon trapped in a sword has like slowly whispered to this one person on the planet, and then over millennia, centuries, has it been able to corrupt this entire planet where they built an entire citadel cathedral around the sword and worship it now. Good for it. Way to go.
Good for it.
Way to hustle. Way to
You
show
go,
initiative.
girl. You go.
Yeah.
You get your planet to worship you.
Yeah, very cool. So they laid siege to this place. Like I remember reading it, and they're like climbing on all these like coral reef obstacles, and like the beauty of the planet mixed with the speed and the deadliness of the Lear, who are perfectly handcrafted for the jobs that they're made to do, which those ones were combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm just because coral. I don't know if you guys have ever been around coral before, but it is rough and it hurts if you grind into it. And I went kind of dumb for a minute. I'm like, how did they get their uniforms over the? Oh yeah, they're in power armor. They probably just crushed it.
Yeah. Unaware
Yeah,
of the true nature of.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say it's rad that, like, again, we see something draw Fulgrim's eye that's perfection, and just the allure of like, ooh, what is this place? You know, what's going on? And it just being different than where he came from. You know, so
And that
obviously
challenge to himself. Like,
yeah.
yeah, there's that, and I'm gonna make it mine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Unaware of the true nature of the foe they faced, the Emperor's children stormed the temple, their unmatched skill and pride leading them to victory. In the aftermath of the slaughter, Fulgrim claimed the demon blade as his own, drawn to its exquisite craftsmanship and the promise of perfection it seemed to offer. What's that, little buddy? You want me to kill Timmy? Just No. I couldn't have heard the sword say that. Couldn't have been the sword.
Do you think it whispered to him, kind of like the One Ring was always whispering, trying to tempt people to put it on?
Yeah.
The sword is
Put
just
me in
whispering.
you.
It's
Come on. Just put me in you. Just a little bit. Just a tip.
I was gonna say the sword's trying to whisper, like, kill them, kill little Timmy, and then you're over here just no, I can't.
Yes, and
The
I
whisper
appreciate the
said-
Lord of the Rings reference, Logan. Good job.
That is how it happens. The whispers that followed were subtle at first, threading their way into his mind, disguised as the voice of his own ambitions. Oh, you're pretty neat, Fulgrim. You feel pretty cool like a gangster when you swing me around. I mean, you. You're a good boy.
You're a big man when you're using me.
Your hair looks really good today.
Oh, man.
Are you using
Fulgrim's
a new
transformation
conditioner?
was
It's nice.
Fulgrim's transformation was not immediate, but insidious. The blade began to dominate his thoughts, supplanting Fireblade, the revered weapon forged for him by his closest brother, Ferrus Manus. The demon within the blade worked tirelessly to corrupt him, whispering promises of ultimate perfection. The perfection free of morality, guided only by the self-indulgent and unrestrained ambition. Fulgrim, ever striving for excellence, could not resist the allure. Horus had already fallen to the ruinous powers, played his part in Fulgrim's descent. With cunning persuasion, the War Master exploited Fulgrim's aspirations, convincing him to embrace chaos as the path to ultimate perfection. So he desperately thought. And so, the Phoenician, once a paragon of imperial grace, found his patron in Slaanesh, the Prince of Pleasure, abandoning his ideas of the Emperor and intoxicating promise of boundless self-obsession. It's very interesting. Like, so Horus had at this point kind of had his plans in motion and was kind of just keeping his eyes on what Primarchs can we snatch up. And it doesn't sound like this was an intentional thing. Like Horus didn't like send Fulgrim to this planet to find this demon blade to get corrupted. This just happened to work out nicely. And then Horus seen it and started to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Started to push it. It's
use
normal
it.
to listen to swords. I talk to all my weapons too. They talk back. It's fine.
Didn't
Oh,
you
you
used
hear
to
yours
talk to
too?
your
Cool.
favorite tool when you were a Sparky?
It's fine. It's
See,
fine.
I remember.
That's right. Throwback. There it is.
Throwback.
It is cool that like it's kind of not his fault. Like, yeah, he had like the idea of perfection and wanting to, strive for it and saw this beautiful thing. I know you're like shaking your head, Logan, like it is his fault. But it's not.
I was gonna say Fulgrim and Magnus did nothing wrong. We need to change the phrase.
Except falling the chaos.
Well, hang on. Because in this case, he has external forces, not just brothers and whatnot who have already been corrupted, but external forces that are very much telling him, like, feeding into that desire and that ambition. So, like, kind of feels like, not his fault, right?
I see that. I'm still stuck on like the voices for the sword, and I don't know why, but I had a deeper voice in my head for the sword. It's just like, God, you're beautiful. Just hears that every now and then.
So is it okay? Here we go.
Oh, God.
Is it Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs when he's just in front of the mirror and he's just, would you fuck me? Fuck me. And so it's Fulgrim holding the blade, and it like mirrors. It just reflects himself in the blade, and he's just talking to himself.
Spoilers!
Like sorry,
you're ruining the best part.
I know. Okay.
No, that's so funny. Fuck.
I
don't like that. I don't like that image of him in the mirror, talking to himself in that voice, all naked. It's too relatable.
He's got like a shawl on. He's got a nice purple shawl, and it's just
dude. He has the nicest
well, then it's fine.
Yeah, he has the most beautiful shawl ever.
Yeah, I'm dying over you.
Why is he so wet always? Like he just got out of a shower.
What are some of these things that it whispers also like trying to get him to be better? Like he's already fucking great, so it's like what like. Oh, those are nice 6-pack abs. It's too bad you don't have 8, but we could get there.
It's probably just stroking his ego all the time. Like, that was beautiful the way you just did that. Yeah. Your timing was immaculate on that sword swing.
You don't need
brushes his hair, and if one falls out, that's like a failure. So he has to do it better next time.
I was going to say, you were right to only brush your hair 21 times today. 22 would have been too much.
Too much. Would have lost one.
Like just the littlest things. It's pushing him up all the time. Like, what? 21 is the right number of hairbrushes today. Thank you.
I gotta turn lights on and off 3 times, otherwise Charlie would die.
Charlie dies.
Just kind of stuff like that. Just all those kind of things start whispering into the back of his mind.
Oh, there's so many good things that connect with Fulgrim. So here we're gonna go on the pronunciation weirdness train.
I believe in you.
Diasporex. Are we going with Diasporex?
Yep.
Diasporex. We're gonna change it around. It's not salsa like the last one, but
try Diasporex. Ask if Diasporex is right for you.
If you hear a beautiful sword whispering sweet nothings to you, consult your doctor.
Diasporex may not be for you then.
Oh man. Now it sounds like Diasporex. I'm gonna go with It still sounds like a medicine, but that's fine. The Diasporex persecution. As the Great Crusade marched onward, the Iron Hands Legion encountered a nomadic, fleet-based civilization known as the Diasporex, a rare alliance of humans and Xenos living in harmony, Logan. Living in harmony.
We can do it. Okay. We can get along.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that picture of an Imperial battle cruiser that's going through space blasting a bunch of things, and it says, "Me on my way to remind Xenos that they weren't made in God's image"?
Okay, we're just going to keep going from there. Adhering to the unyielding principles of the Imperial truth, the Iron Hands offered the human members of the society a chance to renounce their alien comrades. Gosh damn it, here we go. And join the ever-expanding Imperium. Yet, with resolute defiance, the Diasporex rejected this offer, sealing their fate. The Iron Hands, unwavering in their judgment, embarked on a relentless campaign to annihilate the Diasporex. But their
no, we're good. We're doing good here. No, we don't really want to join you guys. Thanks for the offer, though. Maybe come back in a couple years if you got something better to offer us or trade negotiate. No.
Yeah.
None of that.
But their quarry proved formidable, excelling in naval warfare with a precision and experience that allowed them to evade decisive battles and even inflict significant damage, including crippling the Iron Hand strike cruiser Ferrum. Recognizing the need for reinforcements, the Emperor's children of the 28th Expeditionary Fleet were summoned, forming a powerful joint force with the Iron Hands to crush the obstinate Diasporex.
Yeah, go get them, Fulgrim. You can go beat them up with your magic sword. We can swoosh through the air together.
Is that Ferrus Manus's voice?
No, that is fire. His sword. His demon
Ah,
sword just
yeah.
whispering. Come
Okay.
on, we can go kick some ass together.
Yeah,
I can go kick
good.
some ass.
There it
It's
is.
like the holiday critters from South Park.
Mhm.
They're just so sweet and innocent. Like, come on, Fulgrim, we can exterminate them all. Let's go.
Get every last one of them.
Every last one of them. It's not genocide. You're doing the will of the Emperor, Fulgrim.
There needs to be a cartoon now made with this in mind, and you guys just do the voices. That's perfect.
Oh, you betcha. And
Well, he's got so
paid
many
for-
swords too, so we can really be creative with our voices and demon weapons that he collects over time.
Oh, dude, we can make
What
a whole
it-
mini-series out of this.
What does Ferrus's Manus hammer sound like?
It sounds like this. We've been over there. He good old southern boy up on there with that big old hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was made by Fulgrim, so why would it have that voice?
Because
wouldn't
it's
even have a
perfect
demon in it.
reflection. It has a demon in it. It's a perfect reflection of its owner. Therefore, it sounds like this. Because Ferrus Manus sounds like this.
Oh.
Throw that weapon out. It is no longer useful. That piece of
It's
shit.
peak humanity.
Every time
I
you
don't know what you're
swing
talking
it,
about.
it's talking like that. You're just like, fucking leave it on the planet. Leave it behind somewhere.
Every time you swing it, it's just like, da, da, da. It just gets more agitated the more you use it.
We're really off the rails on this one. I like it.
I like it too, Court.
You're doing great.
You're doing
My
great.
microphone
Keep going,
speaking
buddy.
to me now. Thank you. The
You're
Diasporex. What? I must obey.
You're doing great, I said.
The Diasporex, though aware of their impending doom, remained anchored within the sector, unwilling or unable to flee. Scouts of the Iron Hands soon uncovered the reason for their stubbornness. The Diasporex relied on concealed solar collector arrays to harvest fuel from a nearby star. This vulnerability was their lifeline, and the Imperium seized upon it, targeting these critical fuel stations. The combined fleets lured the Diasporex into a desperate battle, forcing their fleet into open engagement to defend their survival. In this climactic naval confrontation, Fulgrim, ever seeking to embody perfection and pride, classic Fulgrim, found his personal gunship, the Firebird, under ferocious assault. As the battle turned grim for the Phoenician, his brother Ferrus Manus intervened, steering his flagship, the Mighty Fist of Iron, into the fray to rescue Fulgrim from certain destruction. Ferrus's intervention, though valorous, sparked a deep wound in Fulgrim's pride.
Oh, boo-hoo. Fulgrim, come on.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
because there's this mention of it, and I don't think we'll get to it because this is like deeper in the 40k scene, 40k timeline. But later on, when he has his encounter with Rylanor, he physically is fine, but it is noted it hurts his pride, and he doesn't recover from the wound that Rylanor gave him. So I wonder if
I sure
that's
fucking
just
hope so. I love that story. I love that
Oh,
story. It's
Yeah,
so
but
good.
it's like Ferrus Manus hurt his pride big time, and then 10,000 years in the future, his former Ancient of Rights hurts his pride again. Like, that's the only. I wonder if that's the only thing Fulgrim can really feel at this point is his pride and his ego. Because after doing drugs for so long and everything, like, it dulls the senses. The deeper you go into the corruption of Slaanesh, the more you need. Because it's like, I don't feel this anymore. I need deeper. I don't feel it anymore. I need more. But pride, there's nothing really physically that affects pride except for how good you look, and he thinks he looks great all the time. So that would be devastating for him.
Man, if you were a four-armed, serpentine winged demon creature, wouldn't you feel pretty superior with your form?
Oh,
Form
dude,
and
absolutely.
physique? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Flexing all 8 of your biceps. Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
Killing it.
Dude, I'd feel superior if I could just fly. I don't need all the extra stuff. Just be able to fly.
Just give me some wings. Come on.
But then you've got to compete with Sanguinius at that point during the heresy, so it's not like you're that special.
I don't need angel wings. Just give me like a...
That would be a really cool juxtaposition to have the beautiful Sanguinius and then Fulgrim also beautiful, but his wings are leathery instead of feathery. That would have been really cool to see.
How'd they do it in the new model? I know
it's leathery.
Cigar Smitty's talking about it. So
he's got leathery wings. So the problem is they have the they came out with the Fulgrim transfixed model for 30K first.
Yeah.
And it's a resin model, so it is super detailed. Like the whole tail and everything is scaled, and its wings are massive and huge. But for the 40K one, the wings are scaled down, and they didn't go with a big scaly snake tail. They went with kind of a smoother look. I still like the new one a lot. I think it's cool, and it's more 40K-esque. The other one just reeks of 30K instant corruption, while the new 40K one feels like he's been this way for a while, so it's not as pretty as it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I thought it was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm looking at it, and I see what you're saying. The transfigured one is much more scaly, serpentine, but maybe they're
more elegant and clean and like...
Yeah. Maybe they were trying to get away from like the Daughters of Cain vibe with AOS and try and do something a little more...
I think that's what they're trying to, because they have to also make it different enough from the Fulgrim transfix model to make people want to buy it.
Yeah.
And I think they did a stellar job with it.
Yeah. Very cool model.
Yeah, bat wings. I like it. Sweet. All right. Determined to reclaim his honor, Fulgrim launched a bold boarding action against a key Diasporix vessel. The Emperor's children unleashed a ferocious assault, sowing chaos and bloodshed within the enemy ranks. Yet ultimate victory eluded Fulgrim's grasp when the ship's bridge was seized not by his own hand, but by a subordinate commander. This perceived slight only deepened the simmering resentment within Fulgrim, who saw his triumph overshadowed by his brother's earlier rescue. For months after the battle, Fulgrim harbored a growing bitterness towards Ferrus Manus, not Ferris Bueller, just making that distinction. What Ferrus...
Don't want too many strings going places.
Up earlier in the episode, but we're just going to stop that train right there. What Ferrus had offered as an act of brotherly courage and selflessness, Fulgrim, under the malignant sway of the demon-possessed Lair Blade, interpreted a condescension and a blow to his own grandeur. The insidious whispers of chaos twisted his perspective, turning jests meant to humble him into perceived slight, and Ferrus's noble deeds into imagined boasts. Oh,
I can just imagine, like, Ferrus Manus not even acknowledging the whole incident of the flagship and kind of saving him. And even that just drives Fulgrim mad. Like, he's not mentioning it because he thinks he's better than me, you know? And then if Fulgrim was, or Manus was to mention it, he'd go the opposite. Like, he just is not happy. And that grudge is building and festering.
I know it wouldn't have worked lore wise, but it would have been funny if they had confronted him at the moment. Like Ferrus Manus is like, "Hey, you're welcome," and then Fulgrim goes, "Hey, how dare you?" Like he's just indignant about the rescue the whole time.
Yeah, and that, and to kind of parallel it, like within real life and stuff like that. Like when you have that lack of self-esteem and you have those obvious quote imperfections in yourself, when somebody triggers those in any way, it doesn't matter, you know, saying something like, "Oh, I like your shirt," and you perceive it as a slight or whatever it is. So this is that times the nth degree, where Fulgrim really just can't fucking take a joke anymore. You know, it's sad.
And don't forget about me, Fulgrim. You're doing good. He's also got that guy whispering in his pocket the whole time.
Yeah, the sword's just like, "Did you see what he just did? Can you believe he just did that to you? You were 100% going to make that. He just came in and stole all your glory. What are you going to do?"
That's it. I'm going to cut a bitch. I'm going to cut him.
Oh, that's funny.
This is good. Speaking of the blade's corrupting influence festered within Fulgrim's soul, clouding his judgment and reshaping his view of his beloved brother. The Phoenician, once a paragon of unity and pride, began to see Ferrus's heroism as nothing more than selfish arrogance. The seed of distrust and rivalry sown by the ruinous powers had begun to take root, setting the stage for a tragedy that would echo through eternity.
Dun,
Sad.
dun,
Yep. Yeah, we should have stopped earlier, guys, when they were just friends.
We should have stopped when they were friends. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Now here we are.
The drama's coming. I think I get to read the drama. I'm so excited.
Good.
It's all right, Court. We'll get you through this.
Yeah, please take me there.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
The Horus Heresy. The annals of the Great Crusade tell of a figure both resplendent and tragic, a being of unparalleled grace and charisma whose path diverged from the light of the Emperor to the abyss of chaos. Fulgrim, the Phoenician, was a Primarch destined for greatness, but his yearning for perfection would lead him down a perilous road. The fateful catalyst for his descent lay in the Larian campaign, where the Emperor's children clashed with sensitive Xenos who would wholly pledge themselves to Slaanesh. From this war, Fulgrim claimed a trophy of exquisite beauty and ominous power, a demon sword forged in the crucible of chaos. Many within the Inquisition, piecing together the fractured records of this era, have come to believe that the blade's malevolent influence marked the beginning of Fulgrim's fall. Its corruption extended not only to the Phoenician, but to the warriors under his command, as their exposure to the Larian's tainted world seeped into their souls. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I just want to make
Like
one correction, though. Like you said, sensitive Xenos. It's serpentine Xenos.
I am dyslexic.
Just because when I heard that, I imagined a bunch of like Xenos, like, no, I do poetry. I love pottery, and then he just slays them. But no, it's
I can recognize myself in a mirror.
Yeah. So,
it's a bunch of theater kid Xenos.
No, they're the worst to kill. They're so dramatic.
Oh no! What will I do?
Yeah, this sword is so powerful. Like this whole Lear civilization kind of revolves around it. Then Fulgrim takes it. He gets kind of possessed by it, and along with a bunch of the Emperor's children. They start hearing the whispers too, and its power grows.
It does. I'm sorry, I got distracted by chat. They're going off the rails.
Yeah, the sword of sass or ass.
I don't. What is yerba? This is water. They asked if I'm drinking yerba, and it's just water. I don't know what yerba is.
Prove it.
How do you know it's not yerba?
What is yerba?
Never heard of it before.
No idea.
Chat, what's yerba? He brought this up.
No, you're just drinking the tears of your enemies, right?
It's a plant?
Oh, like yerba
One of
mate tea.
Fulgrim's liquids for sure.
Oh.
Yerba mate tea. Okay. Right?
In this episode, very relevant to this episode, yerba.
No. Good news, everyone. This is actually a paid ad by Yerba.
I was going
We
to say,
talking-
I can't stand not drinking yerba while I'm filming this podcast.
That one's for free, Yerba. You owe me. Apply for
Thanks to-
Warhammer Heroes.
Yeah, thanks for Big Yerba for sponsoring this episode. Ugh. All right. It was during this perilous period that Fulgrim became ensnared in the pivotal elements leading to the Horus heresy. On the maiden world of Tarsus, he met Elrad Ulthran, the renowned Farseer of craft world Ulthway. The Eldari seer sought to warn Fulgrim of the War Master Horus's corruption. Eldar spoke of the Anathame. I'm going with Anathame. A chaos forged blade that wounded Horus and allowed the ruinous powers to ensnare his soul.
It's so funny. He's like, hey, that sounds like a cool sword. I need that.
Yeah, it's just like absolutely. He's
You're a
like,
weapon collector.
cool story, bro. I need that sword. I bet it's beautiful. And the other sword's like, it is beautiful. Go get it, Fulgrim.
I need a friend.
I need a friend. I need a friend.
It's lonely shanking alone. Please give me a baby. Dagger.
Give me a baby.
We just broke Logan.
Give me a baby. You really did break me. I repeated it too. Is the really funny thing. It didn't hit me twice.
Oh man. I
Woo!
like his sword. It's pretty neat. It's a good sword.
Oh. Every time he gets a new sword, he's just like, I want that sword over there. Like a
But
kid.
how
that
will this affect the group dynamics of sword and Fulgrim relations?
the Fulgrim
just a-
sword polycule confirmed.
I was gonna say it's very poly sword. Yeah.
It's a very oh no, it's a sword harem. Because there's only one
Hey.
Fulgrim, but a bunch of swords. It's a sword harem.
He's on the cutting edge of relationships.
No!
Okay.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, we were doing so well. No, we weren't. This is unhinged. We all did work best before we started. All right.
You guys are doing great.
Yeah, thanks, guys. But Fulgrim, bound by his profound loyalty to Horus, and blinded by the insidious whispers of his demon sword, rejected the Farseer's warnings. With vehement outrage, his bond with Horus, rivaled only by his connection to Ferrus Manus, rendered the notion of betrayal unthinkable. Under the sword's influence, Fulgrim turned on Eldar and his retinue. What is that word?
Eldorad and his retinue.
Retinue. What is a retinue? I've never seen that word before.
Like
It's like
group, like
Yeah, it's like an honor
Band.
guard for them.
Huh, never seen that. I learned a vocab
Retinue.
word. Thanks, guys.
you're welcome.
All right. Eldrad and his retinue, unleashing the full might of the Emperor's children. In the ensuing battle, the Phoenicians' forces achieved a bitter victory, slaying the revered Wraith Lord Carrion Goldhelm and an avatar of Cain itself. Yet, Asuranari inflicted their own toll, annihilating Fulgrim's elite Phoenix Guard before their retreat. Fulgrim, however, saw only treachery in the Eldari's actions, interpreting their warnings as a deceit meant to fracture the Imperium. Enraged and emboldened by the demon sword's grip on his soul, he unleashed the fury of the 28th Expedition Fleet, annihilating several Eldari maiden worlds with virus bombs in his symphony of destruction. Dude, I
Mega.
love the musical language that ties in with the Emperor's Children, so much so that when I did a Crusade campaign with some people and I played as the Emperor's Children, I named my battle force the Symphony, just because I'm like, it's so cool, it's just so beautiful, it's just I love
That's
it.
a great name for a war band.
Oh dude, it was fun.
Yeah, this was a cool scene in that book. I forget which one of those kind of starting five it was, but yeah, where Fulgrim beats up the Avatar Cain and he's wrestling this fire demon, and Fulgrim's arms are getting burnt up and like cindered and like raw, and but he strangles that bitch right to death. I didn't know you could strangle a fire demon, but apparently that's how you do it.
It deserved it.
Very
Dirty
cool.
Xenos.
And again, Fulgrim's in his like full-on addict mode where he gets advice from Eldred Ulthran, who's just a fucking badass of Eldar. Like if you know anything about him, he's the preeminent Eldari, and he's even him's like, hey, don't fuck with this, and he's like, you're not my dad, and just goes off. And it's the classic like doesn't take sage counsel, doesn't take advice, is going to do his own thing. He's in full addict mode. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Fulgrim's journey towards damnation reached a turning point when he confronted Horus directly after the Eldari's warning. The War Master, a master of manipulation and a paragon of charisma, swayed Fulgrim to his cause with eloquence that only a Primarch could muster. Horus offered Fulgrim the ultimate prize, perfection, attained only through the embrace of chaos. The Phoenician, seduced by visions of boundless potential, turned his back on the Emperor, convinced that humanity's ascension lay in the worship of the ruinous powers. Horus, in a gesture of trust and camaraderie, gifted Fulgrim the anatheme, the same blade that had nearly claimed his life. The two brothers shared the secret of the weapon's terrible power, further binding Fulgrim to the War Master's cause. Soon after, Fulgrim sought to bring Ferrus Manus, his greatest friend and the Primarch of the Iron Hands, into the fold. On board the Fist of Iron, Fulgrim passionately argued for the righteousness of Horus's rebellion, but Ferrus, unyielding in his loyalty to the Emperor, met his brother's words with outrage and steel. Their meeting descended into violence as Ferrus shattered Fulgrim's power sword, Fireblade. With his necrodermis hands through the resulting explosion, rendered the Gorgon unconscious.
That is so wild, man. They just go get into this crazy fight, wreck the joint. During that scene too, we got a bunch of like iron gorgons. What are the Iron Hands bodyguards called again? I forget. But you got a bunch of them and Phoenician guard fighting each other in this little scene. It becomes very cool.
Yeah.
I want to say the Gorgon's chain, but I know that's wrong.
Yeah, I might have written it down, but maybe not.
Gorgonites, like in the movie Toy Soldiers. Boom. Another
The Gorgonites are peaceful, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I saw that movie. I think I saw it when I was like in kindergarten or something. And it was just so confusing for me at the time because I just, Toys Being to Life was like, whoa, because it was one of the first live action ones I had seen with the live toys. It was just so confusing as an 8-year-old that when I rewatched it later, I'm like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. Okay, I'm picking up what they were putting down. I get it now.
Nice. I also like
Also,
Indian in a Cupboard. Just as
oh,
really
dude,
fun.
Such a great movie.
Classic. Yeah.
There's like every quarter that meme shows up on the Warhammer 40k sub where it shows the thing for the movie. It's a cabinet that brings toys to life and the kids all surprised. But then underneath it says Warhammer players and they're like dabbing their brow because they're sweating.
Yeah. Oh God, don't put this in there. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Just bringing a small demigod to life in your cabinet.
I know we keep stumbling on it. The anatheme, or I wonder if it's just derived from the word anathema. Like they're just switching the A and the E at the end, and anathema is something or somebody that that somebody really hates. So I'm just wondering if it's like pronounced the same or what. I don't know. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and that's a sword that is like the sentient sword that will target individuals and kind of want them dead. And if you get hit by it, there's no healing. That's the sword that eventually will injure Horus.
Yeah, it is. I
think it
definitely
did
shrouded in legacy. At this point,
yeah, because we read earlier.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
That's how Horus has is he got hurt by it, and that's how the powers infected him.
Yeah. So now he's got another really fun sword that's just whispering to him all the time. Do you think these two swords get along? Like,
I think one we have to keep with the high pitched voice, but the other one is like a super deep voice.
yeah.
So it's like, let's kill them all. And the other one's like, do it. Kill them all.
I'm gonna fry them.
And it's like, you're doing great. This brings me pleasure.
I just don't think I'm gonna sleep after hearing you say that too many times, talking like that.
You'll get over it. I promise.
Like that one I can live with, you know. I can live with friendly demon sword, but the other one I don't like it.
You don't want this recording of like some ASMR from Logan?
No, I just
The
picture some
swords.
poor person right now in bed trying to go to peace, and they just now hear Logan's voice, these creepy demon voices. They have to pull the sheet up over their head.
Yeah,
That's
the
on you.
creepy,
Maybe
this is the one they're afraid of, though. They're afraid of this one. They don't care about the other one.
maybe as a Patreon exclusive, what we'll do is Logan, you and I will get together and we'll record voices for all these swords, and I'll pan them in stereo so they're coming from different places and you can hear them all like
God.
together for $500
Welcome to the
on
Fulgrim
Patreon.
psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
Today, you're going to learn about swords.
I don't like it at all. I'm
Oh.
uncomfortable.
Good.
Hand check, gentlemen. Hand check. Been a while. Hand check. There it is. Okay, we're good.
Okay,
You went way
okay,
too long
okay.
with that hand check, Court. Just saying.
Oh.
All right. Here we go. Fulgrim, weapon in hand, stood poised to deliver the killing blow, but hesitated, restrained by the remnants of their brotherly bond. Unable to commit fratricide, he emerged from Ferris's sanctum and ordered his Phoenix Guard to execute the Iron Hand's elite honor guard, the Morlocks. There we go. In a display of ruthless efficiency, Fulgrim fled the Iron Hand's fleet aboard his gunship, the Firebird, under cover of an attack launched by the pride of the Emperor. From this moment, Fulgrim, what do you want to say?
Sorry.
Mark?
The Morlocks battle cry. We all know it. Just so you know, be intimidated if you hear that coming.
Oh God, they're coming! They're at the door!
I'm definitely screen shooting that moment later on. Just your screen on that, Logan. Oh, yep, there it is.
Does the Discord have a soundboard? Because we're making a lot of good content if it has a soundboard.
We got a couple sounds there. We can always add
Yeah.
more.
Oh, we love that.
The chat asks, you think the sword is constantly like, you see that guy? Yeah, fuck him up. And Fulgrim just audibly in front of everyone is like, no. Like, is he like talking to it? At some point, I'm sure he is talking to it.
I think it'd be
Openly.
funnier if he's not like just no, he's just like, what is wrong with you? Like he's just sitting at dinner, the sword's whispering. He's like, dude, I'm at dinner. I was like, huh?
Tone it down. Not the time, not the place.
Yeah, not the time. That's my brother you're talking about.
I will not kill him.
Everybody's
not-
just super
That's
uneasy.
fratricide.
They're just like, okay, dude, you good? He goes, what? Yeah, don't worry about it. I made him a little emo there. Don't
Maybe
worry
they
about
start talking to themselves because they're looking up to their Primarch and they're like, well, if he does, maybe I should. You know?
the it did say that the sword corrupted all their souls, but now I'm thinking that it like infected all of their swords too. So now all of their swords are talking to all of them. It's just
Damn
this
it, sword. I'm trying to sleep. The chat says.
Hey, wake up. Let's go fight. What are you not now, dude? You haven't dueled in like 3 days, dude. Come on, you're getting soft.
I thirst for blood.
I thirst for blood.
It's nightmare fuel. This is just nightmare fuel
it's
for me, I think.
Terrifying.
I mean, it had to be done. Wait till we get to the Night Lords episode, and I will never do that voice for the entire thing. I will only speak in the high pitch, like, I am Conrad Kurz, the fierce Night Lord.
Noble hero.
Oh, we love that. All right, we're going to get through this. From this moment, Fulgrim's transformation into the champion of Slaanesh accelerated. The corruption of the Third Legion deepened, spreading from its Primarch to his lieutenants and eventually to the rank and file. The Emperor's children, once paragons of martial excellence and seekers of perfection, descended into a maelstrom of hedonism and depravity. Their pursuit of perfection twisted into an insatiable hunger for excess. Fulgrim's journey from the Emperor's most radiant son to the dark champion of Slaanesh stands as both a testament to his immense potential and as a cautionary tale to the perils of unchecked ambition and pride. His fall reshaped the galaxy and heralded the dark age of the Horus heresy, a tragedy of grandeur befitting a Primarch of such towering charisma and brilliance. And that is really true, because when they brought Gilliman back, they started the I think it's the Indominus book, or maybe it's I forgot the name. Whatever, one of the first books that he was back in, and they were talking about Primaris and everything. It starts with him and Fulgrim fighting in space.
Yeah.
And how he was mortally wounded by Fulgrim. So he's such a cool character, and he really is pivotal to everything.
Yeah. So he's falling deeper and deeper into chaos. Now he's had like a physical confrontation with a brother. Even had his Marines kill some other Astartes, which at this point was pretty ballsy, really. Like, this was not full open war yet, and he had this happen. And now we jump forward a little bit to the Istvan III atrocity. Before Horus openly set his sights on betraying the Emperor, an opportunity emerged that would allow him to purge the remaining loyalist elements within his own legion. Those who, despite their allegiance to Horus, still clung to the Emperor's cause. The imperial governor of Istvan III, Vardus Peril, had fallen under the sway of the chaos god Slaanesh, his mind corrupted and his heart set against the Emperor. Peril declared his independence and began to indulge in the forbidden sorceries of Slaanesh, well before the world ever had been brought into the imperial compliance. The Council of Terra, ever vigilant, tasked Horus with the reclamation of Istvan III, specifically its capital, the Coral City. This mission, ostensibly one of imperial pacification, was the perfect veil for Horus' deeper designs, his final betrayal. Although the 4 legions under Horus, Sons of Horus, World Eaters, Death Guard, and the Emperor's Children, had already turned to chaos, there remained a core of loyalists within each. These warriors, many of them Terran-born, had once served the Emperor himself and still clung to their old oaths despite the taint of their traitorous Primarchs. Horus, with framed purpose, assembled his legions in Istvan system, preparing for what would appear to be the reclamation of Istvan III. Under the guise of securing the planet for the Imperium, Horus ordered a bombardment, weakening the world before sending the remaining loyalists of the legions down, hoping to bring them back into the fold. As the Coral City, symbol of the Emperor's order on Istvan, seemed to be on the brink of capture, the loyalists were betrayed in the most vicious of ways. The heavens opened up and the War Master's fleet unleashed the Life Eater virus bomb, lethal, flesh-eating, dissolving weapons upon the world. Yeah, this is such a crazy scene that he just kind of puts all his loyalists, well, not loyalists, but counter-opposers down on this planet and launches a virus bomb on them all. Captain Saul Tarvis of the Emperor's Children, aboard the strike cruiser Androninus, discovers Horus's treacherous plot. With the aid of Battle Captain Nathaniel Guerra of the Death Guard, aboard the frigate Eisenstein, Travis made a desperate journey to the surface of Istvan III to warn the loyalist Astartes. Those heard this message sought shelter before the Life Eater virus could ravage the planet, saving their lives for a moment. Yet the civilian population had no reprieve. 12 billion souls perished in an instant, their deaths sending a psychic shockwave through the warp itself, briefly dimming even the Astronomicon. Angron, Primarch of the World Eaters, enraged by the incomplete devastation, led a bloodthirsty assault against the legions. Rushing headlong into mindless carnage, guided by Khorne's brutal hand, Horus, frustrated by the delay, reinforced Angron's assault with the troops from the Sons of Horus, Death Guard, and the Emperor's Children. Yet despite the tide of traitors overwhelming them, a handful of loyalists led by Garrow managed to escape aboard the Einstein, fleeing to Terra to expose Horus's treachery. While on Istvan 3, under the leadership of Captain Tarvis, Gavriel Loken, and Tarek Torgadon, the Loyalists fought valiantly, defying Horus's plans for months in a desperate struggle. But despite early successes, the overwhelming might of the traitor forces, bolstered by the lack of air support and Titan firepower, ensured their inevitable doom. As the sons of Horus captains, Ezekiel Abaddon and Horus Axeman, confronted their former brothers, Abaddon failed to slay Loken when a building collapsed, and Loken survived to witness the final orbital bombardment that sealed Istvan 3's fates. Let's pause there for a minute. That's a lot of different names and a lot of people just jumping in and out. Each one of those names is a character and a sweet person in his own right. Like, Gavriel Loken and Saul Tarvitz, both super cool characters. We didn't even mention Raylanor was on the planet during this moment too. There's a lot of great characters here.
There's so many, and there's like Nathaniel Garro is such a cool character. I've seen a few memes that are like, you may be cool, but you'll never be Nathaniel Garro fighting fisticuffs against a demon on the moon. Cool. Like, he's just such an awesome character.
Yeah. I've only read the first 4, I think, of the Horus Heresy, and I think this is in book 2 or 3. And man, what a fucking amazing read. Like, it's so good. And I love that how they fleshed it out. Because you kind of just, if you haven't read this much about it, you kind of just think like they either, A, get everybody down on the planet and then virus bomb it and that's it. Or B, they get everybody down on the planet and then start turning open fire on their brothers. And it's really like a combination of both. And these characters, like you mentioned, Mark, they're major players in this moment. And what's so cool is, like you mentioned, Logan, Raylanor. He's a venerable dreadnought of the Emperor's Children. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's also their ancient rights. No Astartes could graduate to be an active duty Astartes without his say-so.
Right. And what's cool is there's a moment in the book where Raylanor is heralded as being able to, he's very straightforward, and he is able to he's like a bullshit detective. Like, he knows when something's up, and he knows that he has the ability, even though he's entombed in this fucking dreadnought, he has the ability to know when somebody's lying. And so I think it's Loken, and chat can correct me please if I'm wrong, but one of them goes to Raylanor, who he's not supposed to be. It's Loken or Tarvitz is not supposed to be on the planet, or is, I'm totally butchering it now, but basically convinces Raylanor otherwise and says like, no, I need to switch positions because this is what Horus wanted and this is what I need to do. But what he's going to go do is warn everybody, and because he's on the know, and he fears what Raylanor is going to say, but then Raylanor basically just says like, okay, cool, go do it. Like, there's this great moment. It's just so cool, and I'm butchering it, but it's a beautiful moment in the book.
Yeah, just like they're on the starship in the reliquary, and you just have all that around you. You can imagine this conversation's echoing in the halls of it. Like,
and I know we're not going to go over it in this episode, but when Raylanor and Fulgrim get together again, you can hear different short story, or the short story itself read in different ways. But there's a really cool song that Jax was putting the lyrics to in the chat by Stringstorm called Rylanor's Last Stand. And it's just such a cool musical telling of when Fulgrim saw his forgotten son, who had waited for 10,000 years to fight his Primarch again and try to kill him. It's just...
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it, I know it'll get you, Court. It's just so good.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
What a battle this is, man. They're fighting in this city, and you can imagine being the Loyalists having just been turned on, and then an angry Primarch comes down to try to kill you. And it's a sweet battle where time and time again they fight off the whole 4 legions that are just dropping more Astartes on them. They run out of ammo, so they can consolidate position back and make new fortifications. And Angron charges it again, and they somehow fight them off. Like, it's such a cool little conflict. And one by one, though, they pretty much all. What happens to him?
I think Karn the betrayer also, which maybe he's not the betrayer at this point, but Karn like gets impaled by like the dozer of a rhino. I think like he gets like run over. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Among the Emperor's children, Captain Lucius of the 13th Company, driven by jealousy and a fierce desire for validation, betrayed his own comrades. So this is back down on the planet during the battle. They're fortifying positions or whatever. Once a steadfast ally of Sarl Tarvitz, Lucius, envy of the fellow captain's rise to command, led him to make a dark decision. To prove his worth to the traitors, he turned on Trevitz, slaughtering his former brothers in arms. This bloodlust secured his place among the traitor legions, and his name would be forever tied to the dark powers of Slaanesh. The few remaining loyalists retreated to their final bastion, their ranks dwindling to only a few hundred, and then, at last, weary from the slaughter, seeing no further purpose in battle, Horus ordered a withdrawal. He had the remains of Coral City reduced to ash, ensuring that Istvan III would be but a grim memory of the traitors' victory. All that just to end up just bombing them anyways. It's like, but they need to make sure they were all dead. They couldn't just bomb people. Maybe they didn't have enough resources or something to blow up the planet fully, or they had to go down and root out every last traitor in their midst. Loyalists,
Maybe
I
they
guess.
didn't want to break the planet because that might have sent a bigger signal than just a bunch of people dying.
Yeah, maybe that's true too. They didn't want to quite reveal their hand yet.
Yeah, because also, if you think about it, if that planet is being looked at by other Imperial factions, they know that the War Master is engaged in bringing a planet to compliance. So yeah, he might bomb the planet, but if he's breaking a planet, that's not bringing it to compliance. Why is he doing that? And it would raise more
somebody's
questions.
looking then for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
It didn't. I mean, they had a heads up, so like they knew the bombardment was coming. Not all of them, but that's
so. There's two bombardments that happened. There's the first bombardment that was supposed to be a surprise of the virus bomb, but then, like you were talking, Salf Tarvis gets down and delivers the message. So then they have to go down there and like weed them out one by one.
Job. Okay.
And then they finally got all of them down to like one final fortress where they're just like, well, just blow that off the planet. Like, we don't need to waste any more men here. We know they're all there. Just wipe it out. Be done.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Got confused. All right. Yeah. Here we go. New Lorehammer band name. You ready, gentlemen? Because it's been a long time. We're going to talk about the Lords of Pleasure.
Ooh, yes.
There it is.
And that's definitely a banjo band for sure.
It's a pleasure. We'll treat you right.
We'll treat you right. That's great. Oh, man. And these banjos talk to you as well, just like their swords. So
they do, don't they?
Yeah. In the closing days of the Great Crusade, long before the galaxy was consumed by the flames of the Horus heresy, the illustrious composer Bekwa Kinska, not to be confused with Klaus Kinski, the famous German actor of Werner Herzog fame. Bekwa Kinska, yes, of Terra, embarked upon a fateful journey with the Emperor's Children's 28th Expeditionary Fleet, a remembrancer aboard Fulgrim's revered battle barge, Pride of the Emperor. Kinska was a woman possessed by an insatiable thirst for sensations beyond the grasp of any mere mortal. Her soul yearned for deeper, more transcendent experiences to fuel her art, making her the perfect vessel for the subtle but undeniable pull of Slaanesh's corrupting influence. It was during her time on the Xenos world of Laren, where the fleet's remembrancers ventured to witness the temple devoted to Slaanesh, that Kinska was first touched by the profound and corrupting energies of chaos. The temple, an alien place of exquisite debauchery, offered her the ultimate inspiration for her magnum opus, a composition that would transcend all that had come before it. From the moment she stepped foot into the temple, she was forever changed. The primal allure of Slaanesh seeped into her being, and she began to craft what she believed would be the greatest musical masterpiece ever conceived. The Maraviglia. The Maraviglia. There it is.
It's good to have dreams. Great to have dreams.
Man. When the symphony was finally ready to be performed, it was aboard the Pride of the Emperor that Kinska summoned the finest of the Emperor's children, both Astartes and mortal alike, to gather within the Remembrancers Theater, La Fenice. There, in the grand hall, she revealed her creation to the assembled audience. The music was unlike anything they had heard before, a blend of orchestral beauty and dark, unknowable powers. The Maraviglia pulsed with energy, each note reverberating with the power of Slaanesh. To bring her vision to life, Kinska had crafted instruments of a new and terrifying design, ones whose sonic power would wreak havoc, a tool for destruction as much as creation, harnessed through the corruptive forces of chaos. So this is now, we're in the fragile era of Nine Inch Nails. Here we go. Dual. Yeah.
Randall space is up.
It is. As the symphony began, the sounds that filled the air were more than music. They were a ritual, an incantation that tore upon the very fabric of reality itself. A rift between real space and the warp was summoned by the cacophony, and the power of Slaanesh surged forth, touching every listener. The instruments themselves became conduits for chaos. Each note was an invitation to madness, each vibration an unraveling of sanity. The audience was overcome by a flood of sensations so intoxicating that they could not help but surrender to their basest desires. What began as a performance soon devolved into a riotous orgy of both ecstasy and violence.
Is this still like that guy you're talking about? Is this like his concert?
It's still Nine Inch Nails. I'm telling. This is
Still?
so.
Okay.
This is
Still tracking.
I was gonna say. I mean, this is a little bit like, closer Nine Inch Nails, but yeah. So, man, greatest album ever created by it's the Maraviglia. Yeah. The air thickened with the touch of the warp, and mutations began to ripple through the Astartes and mortals alike. The Emperor's children, once proud and noble warriors, were now lost in their pursuit of sensation, abandoning their loyalty to the Emperor in favor of the Prince of Pleasure, Slaanesh. In the throes of madness, their minds unmoored, they turned to each other. Frenzied acts of both hedonistic indulgence and bloodlust erupted across the hall. And it was within this chaos that the true horror of the symphony manifested. From the very fabric of the warp, 5 demonettes of Slaanesh emerged, their forms shifting and seductive, drawn into the material world by the music's dark power. These demons possessed Kinska and several of her singers, their bodies writhing in unholy union as they joined in the slaughter. Yet amid the fevered frenzy, something extraordinary occurred. Several Astartes of the Emperor's children, driven by the overwhelming pull of the music, stepped forward and seized the instruments themselves. In their untrained hands, the instruments unleashed destructive waves of sonic energy, empowered by the very chaos that tainted their souls. These warriors, now forever altered by the touch of Slaanesh, became the first Noise Marines. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Wielding
fuck yeah.
sonic
Making
weaponry.
the best guitar solo since 1975.
Hell yeah.
Bust your brains with my boys. Yeah.
So
Fucking
good.
sweet.
Oh, I love the idea that they just seize these instruments and then they instantly kind of meld into them and just become these conduits of horror. Yeah. Man. Wielding sonic weaponry of devastating potency, they would go on to form the elite unit known as the Cacophony, but just spelled differently. Cacophony, with a K, under the command of the ever-dominant first captain, Julius Caesaron. So this is basically forming the new Beatles of Warhammer 40k.
Ah.
Yep. It was within the sacred halls of La Fenice, amid the ruin and excess of Kinska's final performance, that the Emperor's children gave themselves utterly to the temptations of Slaanesh. Their bodies, their minds, their very souls were now the property of the Prince of Pleasure. No longer bound by their previous oaths, they had become his most devoted servants, heralding the beginning of the true corruption of the Third Legion.
Delicious.
Yeah, man.
So we know what they did with the Loyalist Astartes. They took them to a planet and virus bombed them. But then they had a bunch of other people, like just regular civilians, remembrancers. They imagine you'd have some scientists there, whatever, and they had a very unique relationship with the Emperor's children, since the Emperor's children weren't like from the get-go. Yeah, they specialize in war, but they also like doing art. They like perfecting things in all areas. So they would have a lot of remembrancers, artists, and stuff like that on board and in their fleet already. And yeah, this is what ends up happening with them. They basically start going crazy, start making extreme works of art or whatever kind of artistic inspiration they're trying to make. It just gets out of control across the whole ship.
Yeah, I think they're one of the only legions that like openly welcomed remembrancers on the battlefield. Because everybody else,
they loved
not everybody else, but most of them kind of, they saw him as like you're in the way, get out of my way. But these guys welcomed them.
Yeah. Oh, tell me the ballad that you learned from this planet. Like, then I want to write a better ballad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that the cacophony only happened after they fell to chaos, because I've got some cacophony models. I thought it was just they used sonic weapons during that, but that's super cool that it's a specifically driven chaos weapon.
Yeah, like there was a couple experimentations with like Fabius Bile and the first captain Julius. Maybe that's not his name, but where they were doing some sonic weapons with the mouth. So it kind of is tied in. It's like, this demon sword at this point is whispering to all of them. Slaanesh is already corrupting all of them and probably guiding them all into this kind of sound and noise vibe anyways. Because it kind of springs up in a couple different areas independently.
Yeah. There's a Warhammer Plus episode that is specific about Lucius the Eternal and the Emperor's children. And in it, there is a captured noise marine who is imprisoned and being interrogated by a chaplain and forgot the other one, but it's one of the ones that came in Judicar. So he's being interrogated by that, and every time they open his thing to get him to talk, he just opens his mouth and a sonic screech blasts out. So they have to keep punching him to get him to stop, and then putting him in a tomb, and it's like joom, 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 and they put him deep into a hole so they can't hear him anymore. And they do that for months, where they just open to talk to him, and he just screams at their face until Lucius and a couple other guys come. But that's also really funny because it shows a more human side of the traitor legions, because at one point they're getting shot at by the loyalists in a Storm Raven, I think, and Lucius hides behind his Terminator, and the Terminator says, "What are you doing? I'm not immortal. Don't hide behind me."
Hey, that's funny.
Oh, it's funny. It's cool though to see the human. It's cool to see the human side of the bad guys, but it makes them more than just this cartoonish thing going on.
Yeah, which is what I thought of Fulgrim before we started this, and then doing all the research. It's like, no, this guy's relatable and awesome.
Yeah.
I'm hurt that you think I would pick someone who's boring, Court. I thought you knew me better.
You're what?
I said I'm hurt. Oh,
right. Hurt. Originally written by Trent Reznor on the Downward Spiral. Just saying. There it is. He just gave up.
You broke him.
I broke him.
You did. There's only so many Nine Inch Nails references we can get.
Gotta collect them all. Honestly, that's the way I live my life. I'll collect all the references.
One of the last ones. Here it is, and I'm not going to say much, but everybody in the chat, And anybody listening, okay, we talked about the sword that talks to him. Go listen and read the lyrics of Mr. Self-Destruct by Nine Inch Nails off of the Downward Spiral and tell me that's not what the sword is doing to Fulgrim.
Jeez, now I need to know.
Can we get a recitation of the song in the sword's voice?
First 4 lines. I'm not going to do it in the voice. First 4 lines.
Please, we need the voice.
I need the voice.
I am the voice inside your head, and I could. Oh, and then the deep one goes, and I control you. I am the lover in your bed, and I control you. I am the sex that you provide, and I control you. I am the hate you try to hide, and I control you. Fucking A, there it is. Oh my god,
I think, yeah.
I'm telling you,
that's a wonderful musical duel. Those swords. Who would have thought?
I will never do that again.
Too late. We clipped it.
Fuck.
All right, the drop site massacre is up next.
And I'm so torn because I'm going to have to talk about the devastation of my home legion, my first one. But all right, here we go.
Yeah, first love.
My first, she was my first love. All right, I broke court. It's my turn. All right, the drop site massacre. As the fateful clash of Istvan V loomed on the horizon, the loyalist forces, led by the stalwart salamanders and the precise Raven Guard, and the unyielding Iron Hands, arrived to confront Horus and his traitor legions in a battle that would forever alter the course of the galaxy. The Emperor's children, eager to taste the chaos of the conflict, plunged headfirst into the fray. Thousands of drop pods and stormbirds descended on the war-torn surface, heralding the arrival of loyalist forces. In the first wave, under the command of the Iron Hands Primarch, Ferrus Manus, the Salamanders, led by Vulcan, and the Raven Guard, under Corvus Corax, led the legions moved as one, a great tide of wrath and righteousness. The Salamanders took the left flank of the enemy's lines, striking hard into the Olgrol depression, while Ferrus Manus, alongside his trusted first captain Gabriel Santor and a host of elite Morlock Terminators, drove deep into the heart of the traitor defenses. Meanwhile, the Raven Guard's silent and deadly precision fell upon the right flank, engaging their foes with unrelenting speed and darkness. It was a battle of giants, a duel between the greatest warriors of the Imperium. 30,000 traitor Astartes against 40,000 loyalists. Horus, ever the strategist, was well aware of the loyalists' landing site and knew just where to strike. His forces met the loyalists with brutal resolve. The battlefield itself was a vision of hell. The ground shook beneath the weight of the towering Titan war engines, their colossal forms exhaling death upon the planet's surface. Heretic Adeptus from the Dark Mechanicum unleashed ancient and twisted machines of destruction, preventing the very science that had once been mankind's, perversing the very science that had once been mankind's salvation. Rivers of blood flowed across the Olgrol depression as warriors, both loyal and traitorous, fought without mercy, driven by an unyielding hatred. The traitors held firm, but their lines were buckling under the pressure of the loyalist assault. Only a few twists of fate were needed to break them. As the first wave raged on, the second wave of loyalist legions arrive, their stormbirds and thunderhawks slicing through the sky like birds of prey. However, this wave was not loyal, not by any measure. The Night Lords of Conrad Kurz, the Iron Warriors of Perturabo, and the Word Bearers of Loser, and the Alpha Legion Alfarius, having already sworn themselves to Horus and Chaos, arrived fresh and unscathed, their numbers outmatching the first wave of loyalist Astartes. They stood ready to finish what the first wave had begun.
Yeah, so the Battle of Battle of Champions kind of begin here. You got all these sides being drawn, reinforcements come in, and you think it's all dandy.
Yeah, I mean, dude, what? Like already that your like lead brother betrayed everybody, and now four more of your brothers are here. You're like, yeah, we can turn the tide. They're like, guess again.
Yeah.
And you have some personal hatred on Lorgar, I could tell.
I do. I can't wait to hear in lore what Korax is doing to him when he finds him in the warp. Big nerd.
Yeah. And this is like the first time, like, we get like some Astartes fighting Astartes on Istvan 3, but it was very different. It was not like equipped Astartes with tanks and stuff, where this is the first big Astartes on Astartes battle.
Yeah.
Where it's fully equipped legions. They know what they're up to. They're going to war.
Yeah. Istvan 3 was really a ragtag bunch of loyalists versus a war machine, and this is a war machine fighting another war machine.
Yeah.
Very different experience for everyone involved.
Yeah.
I've got a quote here. I think that's definitely pertinent for this moment. It's a Fulgrim quote. And I know that was cool. Like you guys back in the day, Lorehammer used to start with a quote. So here we go. We're going to jump in. But it says, "A warrior is measured by the quality of the foes he defeats. For years, we have blunted our blades against lesser species and backwards primitives. But now, this war, this glorious cataclysm, it presents us a chance to display for all eternity our perfection in the arena of war against the most formidable foe we shall ever face, our brother legionaries. And for this we
Crazy.
humbly thank him, our dear father whose name we carry."
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wild. What
Yeah.
a quote. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cool. That just plays more into, obviously the perfection and needing to be the best, but they also need to make sure they tell people about it. You need to know that they're the best. They got that
Yeah.
pride that they got to tell.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do like you just spurred a memory for me, Court, that before the heresy, the Emperor's children's battle cry was for the Emperor. And after the heresy, they're the only legion that kept the same battle cry, more as a mockery to the Emperor than like a true rally
Yeah.
cry for him.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's funny when you read articles about it because it'll be like war cry pre-heresy for the Emperor, war cry post-heresy for the Emperor, parentheses, mocking.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, they're cool. I really like them. They're very dynamic in the storytelling and how they developed. So cool. All right. Although the Iron Hands, Raven Guard, and Salamanders had managed to secure a foothold in the Urgal Depression, at great cost, the bloodshed had taken its toll. Overcome by grief and rage at the betrayal of the Emperor, Ferrus Manus, driven by the fire of vengeance, dismissed the counsel of his brothers Korax and Vulcan. His wrath clouded his judgment, and he charged into the heart of the traitors' defenses, seeking nothing less than the personal annihilation of Fulgrim. His elite Terminators and Dreadnoughts followed in his lockstep, an unstoppable wave of fury. What had begun as a coordinated strike against the traitor positions had now become an apocalyptic melee, one that would see over 60,000 Astartes locked in mortal combat on the forsaken plains of Istvan 5.
God dang, that's a lot of Astartes.
That is, and the other thing to think about how crazy that is because in current lore, there's chapters, and no chapter can have more than 1,000 Space Marines. So for people that aren't used to the heresy, this is 60 chapters going at it all at once.
Just imagine that. 60
Space
chapters
wolves
going
don't follow
hard.
that.
Yeah, nobody follows that, but
And no one
Yeah, you
follows
guys-
Space Wolf,
hang on.
so
yeah, don't get me started about Space Wolf and all your lies.
I
We
was
don't
gonna
have
say, they don't follow
psychers. We
the
have rune
codex.
priests. They're
Yeah,
different.
all right. I open the fucking floodgates.
Yeah, you don't want this smoke. You don't want this. Unless you're Papa Smurf. Yeah, Papa Smurf gets an extra 1,000.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Amidst the carnage, Fulgrim watched, his smile a thing of deadly pride, as his brother Ferrus Manus launched himself in the heart of the conflict. Backlit by the furious fires of battle, Ferris was a towering figure of rage, his silver hands and eyes reflecting the brutal beauty of the slaughter around him. For a brief moment, Fulgrim had hoped that his brother might pause to rally with the Raven Guard and Salamanders, but Ferris was beyond reason now, consumed by a sense of honor that would no longer serve him. The Phoenix Guard, Fulgrim's most loyal and elite warriors, formed a deadly barrier between the charging Iron Hands and the heart of the traitor line. Their golden halberds gleamed in the sun as they prepared to meet the unstoppable force that was Ferris Manus and his Terminators. The clash was inevitable. The Marlocks, led by Ferris Manus, surged forward, their black armor scorched and bloodied from the skirmishes that had preceded them. The Phoenix Guard braced for impact, and with a war cry that shook the heavens, they leapt into the fray. The golden halberds and deadly lightning claws of the Marlocks met with a thunderous clash, unleashing arcs of electric fire that tore through the air. Every clash, each strike, sent shockwaves through the battlefield, each life a testament to the savagery of this fraternal conflict. Amidst the storm of light and sound, Fulgrim stood unshaken, his gaze fixed upon the figure of his brother, Ferris Manus, striding through the hellscape, untouched by the carnage around him, his steps unwavering. Fulgrim had long foreseen this moment, had long known that the rivalry between them would end in blood. This was their final reckoning, the moment where their brotherhood would be cast aside and their fates sealed. The true Primarchs, now locked in a battle of wills and steel, would not be satisfied until only one remained standing. And at that moment, Ferris Manus came to him. Fulgrim knew that only one of them would leave the battlefield alive.
Dun,
Brutal.
dun, dun. Yeah. You know, this is now the second time they fought, and the first one was almost playful. It ended deadly for some of the Morlocks or whatever, but this one was for all of it. They now have locked onto each other. Once the best of brothers, now mortal enemies.
Sad. I'm really glad that you read that part, Logan.
Yeah,
And
I
not
bet
me.
you are.
Yeah.
And like, there was gonna keep the nerd thing going on here. Way back in the early aughts when Bionicle was a thing, they introduced two characters in, I think it was in the Baraki wave of figures that they did. But to teaser them, they put them on the back of one of the comic books, and they're two huge towering figures, and it says best friends make the best enemies. And it was a story of betrayal, kind of like that thing. And that's kind of what I picture with these two just towering there, because they were best friends and now they're the best enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tragic. Have you guys ever had to kill your brother before? Either of you?
In Minecraft.
My
Rough.
brother's coming into town this week, so I'll have to ask him, like, hey, did I ever like attempt to murder you when I was younger?
Any murder attempts? Yeah, like, just see how relatable this is.
Yeah, right.
Maybe ask him if he ever tried to kill you and changed his mind at the last moment.
Yeah.
Just hovering you over when you sleep, like, nah.
I did accidentally run him over with a golf cart once. It's true.
Accidentally.
Okay, a near miss. I like it.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, well, we don't know what's going to happen yet. Like I said, I think we're going to leave the storytelling here at this point. So what are you guys' thoughts on Fulgrim so far? Like, we got this kind of, he almost comes off bratty, but at the same time, everything he touches turns to gold. He lands on this mining world, and he's able to turn it around completely, invent new ways of mining, and turn this, I just imagine all these dirty miners, these poor miners then get flooded with all the riches, and now all of a sudden they all have palaces of gold and all of this, and just the transformation that Fulgrim was able to make there.
Yeah, and we covered a lot, and I know there's so much more that we couldn't have covered, but he's even more than what we've read here. He's such a cool and unique character. Like we touched a few times about his gunship, the Firebird, and that is such a cool ship for a couple of reasons. One, he modified it over the other ships in his fleet, so it looks specific to him. And two,
Yeah,
he modified it with technology from his mining days, because when he was a miner, he developed technology to keep the noise levels down of the machines so people would not go deaf while they're operating those machines. And he
Cool.
incorporated that into his ship so that his Astartes and the mortals that were on it with him could hear and talk freely without the rumble of the engine going on around them. Like he's such a
badass.
cool and smart character, and it's hard to capture
Yeah.
it in just this podcast episode.
Yeah. There is one more episode about him, and you'll hear
Let's
more in the
go.
following Emperor's Children. Yeah, but that is cool that he is like, he's not just the perfect swordsman. Like he's perfect at whatever he touches, whether it's developing new technologies or befriending people. Like he has a lot of friends and not a lot of enemies until the heresy.
Yeah, and again, it's hard to capture in the episode, but there's a lot of humanity to him too. Like he has in the beginning of Fulgrim, he has an ongoing kind of argument with Fabius Bile, because he's like, hey, you're the oldest apothecary, take over the lead apothecary position. And he's just like, no, I don't want to. And they just keep going back and forth and arguing about it. And it's like, picture that this perfect Primarch that we've described here is arguing with a doctor about being the head doctor. Like, that's just so crazy to think about when you boil it down to that.
Well, he's got I mean, for lack of a better term, he's got the riz, but he so much so to where he's able to convince people in a rousing way, in a way where it's just emboldening. Like, because I think we touched upon it earlier in the episode, but the 200 Astartes that he had been assigned to and everything, he like made some crazy impassioned speech, and that's why the Emperor said, no, you guys are going to be called Emperor's children for this reason.
Yeah, like a master orator. Definitely,
Yes.
like he's just, you look at him, you already know you like the guy. Open his mouth, now you're laughing with him. He's, yeah.
And even the way he threatens people, which again we couldn't get into, but he was arguing with one of his captains, and he just walked up to his captain, smiled, and put his hand on him, like kind of like this. And the second he touched it, the captain was like, because he realized how easy it would be for Fulgrim just to go and wipe him out of existence, and there would have been nothing he could have done about it. Like he's just such a cool character that kind of gets memed on and buried under, oh, he's the perfect pretty boy, he's a brat, blah blah blah. But it's like, no, there's so much more cool humanity to him, which is why I said in the beginning, his story's tragic that he fell.
Yeah, like when you picture that brat, you just picture useless and unearned, but that's not him at all.
No. What was he named after again? It was talking about a legend within Chemos, but what specifically was it? Do we know?
It's a good question.
I didn't read the stuff about Chemos before, but if I had to guess, it was probably something to do with the Phoenix and his nickname, the Phoenician, because and it was truly a nickname, because when he went to the first planet that he was trying to conquer with just his 6 captains, people kept calling him the Phoenician, and he goes, no, that I'm not the Phoenician. You can call me Lord, or you can call me Fulgrim. Phoenician is a nickname, not a title.
It says it was just an ancient deity of the Chemosian people. So wasn't sure.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
He's definitely interested in this guy. Everyone has a reason for falling to chaos. Some of them are a little more nefarious. Like, how much of this would have happened if he didn't land on the demon world with the demon sword and pick up that demon weapon? He was still very good friends with Horus, but also he was very good friends with Ferrus Manus. So maybe, he could have, fought off and resisted the urge to fall to chaos if he didn't pick up that Lear sword.
And I mean, he fought off the possession of that sword once. What if he had run into Ferrus before he ran into Horus? And he had told Ferrus, like, dude, these people just told me this happened. And then he
This
looks
sword's speaking to me, Ferris. What do I do?
I don't even know if he would have done that, but Ferris
Yeah.
probably would see that and go, that sword's weird. Can I look at it? They could have pieced it together and Fulgrim could have rallied with them and
Yeah.
changed the course of history, but that's not what happened.
Yeah. Rip.
So if you need help, ask for it. If swords are talking to you, approach your friend and say, I need help.
Always.
It's that easy.
It's that
That's
easy,
so
guys.
funny.
If you're struggling, boom. Don't listen to the sword. Don't listen to the sword.
Do we want to do a call in real quick? Maybe this
Maybe
episode's
one.
going pretty long. Maybe one. Let's do one. Okay.
Maybe one quick one.
Okay, one quick one. I'm putting a call-in link in the chat. Yeah, like I said, we have one more episode of Fulgrim to kind of go down and see what he does in the rest of the Horus Heresy, how he affects it, and then what happens after the Horus Heresy if he gets up to a Primarch killing in the Scouring. Hard to say.
Yeah.
While the caller is joining us, I just looked up Fulgrim on Warhammer.com just to look at his models really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost exclusively Emperor's Children stuff, including Fulgrim. But at the very bottom, the last thing related to Fulgrim is Ferris Manus, his model.
Cool.
Looking
All
it
right.
up.
Yeah. No one's coming in, so maybe we'll just end this episode, I think. End notes, as you guys are looking up final minis. Come listen to Lorehammer, Listener Lore podcast. I try to read homebrew people's lore, and it's been a lot of fun sharing people's lore. So go check out Lorehammer, Listener Lore podcast.
Yeah. And speaking of other podcasts, if you want to hear more of my voice, you can listen to the Funkatronic Rex podcast, which is on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, whatever, all the things. So Funkatronic Rex podcast, it's fun. Also, fun shout out to a good friend of mine, Robert, who gave me some sick, awesome Warhammer relics. I've got Warhammer Quest here and all the fun books and old supplements. I'm kind of like building a collection, so maybe we'll do like a segment of like fun old Warhammery things. But yeah, thank you very much, Robert. Big ups to you.
Yeah, and if you want to come hang out with me and see what I'm doing, check me out on YouTube at Hydra Thoughts. We've got a lot of fun videos in the works about cryptids, conspiracies, religious mysteries, and true crime. So if any of those interest you, come check me out.
Cool. Shaq did join. He is one of our Patreon members. So I'm going to read some Patreon members, and then we're going to jump to Shaq. But thank you guys all for contributing. Julia, Megalos, JK Boss Mode, Thomas, and Shaq. Welcome. Thank you for being a Patreon member. How'd you feel about Fulgrim in the episode?
Overall, it was kind of hard to keep the chat and listening to you guys, without being losing my focus here. So it's always that way.
You're distracted by the chat.
Yeah, the chat is it's a rowdy place, as you know. So
it was super unhinged tonight.
Kinda. but we were talking Fulgrim, it's kind of that way. Slanesh and all.
Yeah.
We all know how it goes. Court, you really need to read the Fulgrim book. It's the 5th from the Horus Heresy. The thing you are reading about the Moraviglia, it's all there. Like all
really?
the descent of Emperor's Children. That book is awesome. The descriptions are like mind-blowing. All the gore and sick shit that goes on. Love it.
Sweet.
Yeah, the first 5
then.
Horus Heresy books were the best, man. After that, it could have kind of hurried up a bit. But those first 5, and that Fulgrim one and what happens all in that book, truly disturbing.
One of my favorite books, actually, that I read, and I read like, I don't know, 40, 50 of those. So yeah, like really, you need to read that if you like the things that's going on. All the descriptions, magnificent, really.
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment cinematically. You can kind of picture it, and it seems very cool. So I'll definitely jump on it.
Yeah,
so,
those descriptions are really the one thing you were reading. It's like just it was just like simple facts from it, but it was like just shaving off from the top. Like all of that, what was happening with the crew, all of the god damn it, English words, yeah.
Yeah, there's so much more
Uh,
detail in the book itself. Yeah.
yeah, the whole crew, what was going, the remembrances, what's happening to them. There's this one girl who has this obsession to paint Fulgrim the way he should be painted, and she goes with such sick shit to do it. She's using paint, blood, uh, excrements, fucking everything.
Whoa.
Yeah. Visceral, man.
And when finally Fulgrim
Yeah.
sees the picture, he says, "It's magnificent. It's perfect."
All the smells
awesome.
and textures.
The descent that goes in that book, damn,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
hard, really hard. Like decadence and all of that is like, we know Drukhari are fucked up, but what's going on there is like kind of next level for me,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me at least.
Yeah.
And the story with Rydenler, damn, I love that piece. It's really awesome that he was waiting for fucking 10,000 years, and when
Yeah.
the descriptions are going like when Fulgrim just slithers in because he's now
Mhm.
the demon Primarch and all, that's just like next level as well. Love that story as well, really.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's so many great little trails here to go down for sure.
Yeah.
I personally have like I wish I could be on the Dark Angels episodes, but it was like uh, the amount of episodes you're putting up right now. It's like I can't just be like on track with everything. Just to listen to those 4 episodes, I needed to like I don't know skip like I don't know 5, 7, 8 episodes just
I
to
just
hear
always
about it.
picture like what I was doing when I was listening to podcasts. I'm like, I got 8 hours a day to fill. If I put out a couple hours a day, maybe I can help somebody out, you know.
That's almost exclusively how my boss watches content.
Yeah.
Is she'll find something that's interesting and she'll just binge until she gets through all of it. So when she finds
Yep.
something with a huge backlog, she's in love.
Mm.
Well, I liked it as well. When I started listening to Lorehammer, it was like a year after it gone on hiatus. So I had like 100 episodes to listen, and it was amazing. And then I'm like, huh? That's all?
now what? I know. And then I got messages after messages from everyone. I'm like, okay, I'll bring it back. Fine, you sons of bitches. I'm in.
Yeah.
And
Twist
when
his
I heard
arm.
about it, I was like super happy because I wanted to join the Patreon before, but it was like, what for? It's not going to give me anything back in any way, so it's not. What's the point, actually? Yeah. And now it's all going on. Being a part of this is like a little dream, a little something for me as well. So yeah, I enjoy
Yes.
I enjoy the content very much, and all the Primarch series now that is going to be on the way.
It's gonna be a hell of
I
a
was
journey, man. We got a
yeah,
long way to go.
and I'm really waiting for it because finding out info on each Primarch and all is like a big thing. It's time consuming and all. Yeah, I can listen to audiobooks and all of that, but I listen. Let's go like I commute to work. Yeah, and I have like 40 minutes in and out, so that's all I kind of listen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of podcasts, books. Yeah, that's kind of pick one.
Yeah. How do I want to learn
So
today?
so yeah, some of the information I need to go like once again with the episode, like just to get all the info from it, because like I said, focus from the chat and to listening to you, it's kind of distracting in a way.
Shut up,
But
chat.
yeah, some informations were like kind of new. But yeah, I'm still really waiting for all the other episodes because knowing about all the other legions as well as the Primarchs is gonna be really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like hyped for that.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's always something
Yeah.
else to learn and to read about, so that's the nice part.
Yeah, we have
cool. Well,
so many information on everything, and yeah, it's a topic you could go like 5,000 hours, and it's still not gonna be enough.
that's the goal. Cool. Well, thanks, Shaq, for calling in. Any other
Yeah,
quick
no
thoughts?
problem. Well, like I said, T-shirt is here.
Nice. Very cool. I like it.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, that's that. We already did all our end of the stuff, shoutouts and stuff, so I think we're good. Court, Logan, thank you so much for joining me on part 1. Was there one part you guys specifically like that you want people to kind of take away?
I don't know. This was just such a fun episode. I loved all of it.
Yeah, I
If
think the
anything,
going lesson is for me is if a sword is whispering to you, you gotta tell somebody. If any household object is whispering to you, whether it's your favorite pen or a demon sword, tell somebody, please.
Yeah. I really think just the main lesson here is that Fulgrim is the Trent Reznor of the 40K universe. There it is. Thanks, guys. All right.
All right, adios.